China day 4. I'm in Shanghai. New Epstein Trump connection. Fallout from government shutdown continues. Trump loves Chinese students. Century of humiliation. City exploration later. And now, how was the KFC? Oh, dude, the KFC that we had was incredible. KFC that I had was incredible. The emails aren't new. They had already been released in 2024. No, but it's like the part that I'm talking about is like Jeffrey Epstein saying that he's like Trump knows about the women and stuff like that. Was it dropped off by a robot? No, it was dropped off by a person. Vance is a fan and friend of Curtis Yarvin and Peter Thiel, so I don't trust him one bitch. This could be as bad, if not worse. I think JD Vance is more competent, but he's also less charismatic. And because of that reason, he can't win an election. But I think if he were to somehow get into a seat of power, also give me a blast off meme chatters. Okay, I'll use this one actually. This one is fire. This one is fire. I fear that if he were to actually get into power somehow, some way, he would be devastating. What is this? Hassan Lemon Bro Piker. I ordered 2XL. Why is this so tight? From seller. Oh my god. What the fuck? Yeah, I got this shit on Grailed. What is this? This one is great. How's Kaya doing? She's having an amazing time with Farley. What is this? Are you going to Disneyland for Cutie? No. What the fuck? That link is busted. Anyway. But is Farley having an amazing time with Kaya? So far, yes. Straight up. You seem so much more relaxed in China. Yeah, because I am more relaxed in China. Use Let's VPN is one of the best to use here. That's the one I've been using. It was this. What is this? That's cool. Listen, we're not pulling these images up, okay, anytime soon. Okay? I love them. I love the Maoist posters, but you know, we've already made the mistake one time, okay? I'm not trying to cause an international incident. I was talking to the team about that actually, and I think like well, in Beijing, in Tiananmen Square especially, like obviously people are very careful, very attentive, right? Because it's like important ceremony, things of that nature. But even like the USSR shirt that I have, the USSR jersey that I have, it's not, no, it's not disrespectful. No, you don't understand. The problem is because most of the experiences that Chinese people have had with like white people has been like, there's the like they just assume that every white person is like unironically being negative or being sarcastic or making fun of China or communism. They don't think they don't think that we're like they don't think that we're actually sincere. They think it's just like agitators that are mocking China, which I can't even fault them for thinking that, because like most people, if you, because a lot of Chinese people go and they study in the West, right? They go to colleges in America, they go to college in the UK, they go to college in the EU, and like they hear the attitude, the overwhelming negativity from every single person that they encounter. And in many instances, at least like with the Chinese people I've spoken to, both even before coming to China and since, they just kind of keep quiet about China in general. There are a lot of Russian tourists who are understanding and they are white. That's not true. Yes, you are right about that. But we are American. And so it's a little different. But basically like the way people perceive it is like is never like a sincere appreciation, but instead like outright mockery. And the reason for that is because of like the personal experiences that Chinese people have had in the West, and also the internet. Like what they, that was a brief and abrupt clip. You know, I don't know what happened, but show the secret memes. There are, yeah. I feel like these Fs are my fault. Every time I get in here, it happens. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're in a different hotel, so I don't know how reliable and consistent the internet is. You know what I mean? Hassan, will you work on not using likes so much when you speak? I think in comparison to people in my generation, I use like very, very selectively. I don't even say like that much. Do I? I mean, I do throw it in there every now and then, but it's not that much. That is such a backseat speaker. That is such a boomer take, by the way. That is such a boomer take. Oh, what are you, a valley girl? Saying like over and over again. I think I use words, the words that I excessively spam would be anyways. I say that a lot. It's not a thing. I've never noticed at all. You do not do that much at all. So weird. My dad said shit like that. I know. Last stream was 392 times. There is no way you went in. Do realize that you could be saying like not as a sentence modifier for the record, and instead not as a sentence modifier, but instead like, you know, just I used it as a sentence modifier just then, but instead as a way to say that you enjoy something. You say more than like. Yeah. The word like is actually very important in the English language. Anyway, who talks shit about it doesn't know what they're talking about. You also use the word we are not gaming today a lot as well. That's true. Those are the scariest words in the English language for the Hasanabi heads. We are not gaming today. Five of the scariest words in the English language. How has your trip been so far? It has been spectacular. It is above and beyond my expectations. I am having a phenomenal time. Obviously, the only issue is that I'm on for so long. Your Steam Deck slander yesterday was blasphemous. Yeah, well, I haven't had anything that I've been really invested in playing. That's part of the reason why I don't have like a interest in the Steam Deck. God damn. Anyways, is it 2 weeks or 1 month? I thought it was 1 month trip, but you said 2 weeks last stream. No, it's 2 weeks. It's not 1 month. Even though China is so massive and we could be there for a month. Have you experienced any restrictions on the travels in China, or is that mostly just propaganda? What? No, we're foreigners. What do you mean restrictions on the travels? That's not, we're American. That's not a thing for tourists. I'm sure there are places that you can't really go to, but I don't know. We're never going to find out. You know what I mean? You're not allowed to go over there. That's where we hide the Chinese state secrets. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. Like a lot of people straight up, a lot of people will straight up be like, oh, this is like the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. It's not. That's crazy. You can't go in this house that's white. Yeah, the White House. See the new Valve Steam console, headset, and controller? I have not. Oh, this was also a fun thing I saw. White House, federal statistical system may have been permanently damaged. White House, October jobs report likely never released. We're at the precipice of something very interesting, in my opinion. I think things are getting increasingly weirder and weirder and weirder in the United States of America. Oh, the jobs machine that calculates how poor our performance has been mysteriously vanished. This is unironically what America used to say in the Cold War about the USSR, except we are actually doing it to ourselves. I am sorry, but this is what a crazy coincidence that my dog ate my homework last night. I actually did the homework, and honestly, teacher, if you were to grade this homework, I probably would have gotten an A+, okay? A+ homework, believe me, okay? I wrote it down. It was beautiful. You've never seen homework like this before. This was the greatest work from home situation from the standpoint of work. And yet the dog ate it. Believe me, the dog, very beautiful dog, ate the homework, and now I no longer can show you what the homework looks like. Oh, very bad, very bad. He's a bad dog. Believe me, very bad dog. Will get punished. Database has been damaged. Ate it like a dog. It is quite remarkable. It is homework, kind of an old-fashioned term. Yeah, like groceries. Groceries and homework. Old-fashioned term. Very old-fashioned. Yeah. Also, yeah, the 2-for-1 special is the White House can't release the Epstein files, nor the reason the president received an emergency MRI, nor October's jobs reports because the economy is in the shitter. Excuse me. There is an answer for all of this. Okay. The White House can't release the Epstein files because the Epstein files machine broke. The White House can't explain why the president received an emergency MRI because that delivery mechanism also broke. And last but not least, the October jobs report can't be released because that machine also broke. It's just a very normal set of coincidences. It's just a coincidence. You need to stop leaning into it, okay? The Democrats must have broke the machine when they shut down the government, okay? It's just, you know what it is? You know what it is? Honestly, it's because the jobs report is too good and they would be jealous. It's because China would get jealous and we don't want to do that because, you know, we just got into a detente, a stalemate with China on the trade war stuff. And we don't want to make them jealous, right? Because if they were to look at how beautiful and robust and hot from the standpoint of heat, hot our jobs were, they would get jealous. They would say, what are you doing? You are winning so good, sir. That's what they tell me. That's what they tell me anyway. Hot from the standpoint of heat. So that's the reason why we won't release it, because we're having a banger. We're having a banger year, an incredible time. It's unbelievable. You've never seen anything like it. Did they nerf lying? No. Lying has not been nerfed and never will be nerfed. As long as Trump remains in office, lying is an incredibly important tool in their tool belt that they will continue spamming. Okay? If anything, they buffed it. Yeah, they were like, lying is not strong enough. We must buff. Even though it is OP, it must be more OP. Anyway, this is the last time I'm gonna spam this link. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen, and then we're gonna get started. We're gonna talk about the jobs report. How's the food at the hodl? Snacks? I haven't had any of the food at the hodl yet. Bringing back this Ben Norton tweet. U.S. companies announced the most job cuts for any October in more than 2 decades. Bloomberg reports 153,000 jobs were lost, the most since 2003. If it weren't for the AI bubble, the U.S. would be in deep recession. 80% of Americans already live in areas in recession. This is true, by the way. And it's something that Scott Bessent also openly admitted, I think, on Bloomberg. So things are not looking too good. I'll be honest. Things are not looking too great in the United States of America. Sam was given an explanation on Lemon Bro today, and he was genuinely confused. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, we're going to get to all this stuff. Do not worry. Hold on. Let's start there. There were some more memes here. Yeah, the Li Jingjing CGTN interview is going to be coming out soon. And I think some people are very excited about it, and some people are not so excited about it. Some people are very upset about it. But here's a 2-minute clip from the interview that we conducted. Let's take a look now.
I also wanted to show my audience and the Western world in general that there are a lot of rumors about China. There's a lot of misunderstandings and also just outright lies, and that it's just another normal country, just like every other country is.
This is Hassan Piker, an American online streamer, influencer, and a political commentator who wields significant influence over the young demographic in the US. He's known for his daily streams featuring political commentary and media analysis, and has amassed a combined 4.5 million followers on Twitch and YouTube. In his streams, he often discusses China's development with his viewers. Now, he has finally taken his first trip to China.
I know Beijing is your first stop in your whole travel plan in China. It's probably just been 2 days for you to arrive China. How's your experience so far?
It's been amazing. I haven't slept at all, but you know, I'm carrying myself because I'm so excited. It's been a remarkable experience thus far. But I was always very excited to come to China, so this has been a dream come true for me.
What do you want to experience the most, or what do you want to try the most?
The food. I want to see all the big tier 1 cities, but most importantly, I am super stoked that I'm going to get on a high-speed train tomorrow to go to Shanghai because I also want high-speed rail in America.
Why? Why are you looking forward to visit China?
Well, part of it is because I talk about China quite a bit as far as like lessons to learn and what America could adopt and emulate, and seeing it in real time, I think is a lot different. I also wanted to show my audience and the Western world in general that there are a lot of rumors about China. There's a lot of misunderstandings and also just outright lies, and that it's just another normal country, just like every other country is. I know that, but one, experiencing it for myself is good, and seeing it for myself is good, and then two, showing it to other people as well, I think will be a good opportunity.
It wasn't a loop. They just showed the beginning. Yeah. Come back. What do you mean? I was listening. Plus, I'm also in the video. So I'm familiar that the video ended. Yeah, but Hasanabi doesn't need to give ammunition to his haters this freely, though. Wait, what do you mean? I don't, like... this is a thing that I don't understand, where people would just be like, oh, why would you do an interview like this? Why wouldn't I? It's not like I'm saying anything different than I say on this broadcast. You know, I've done nothing differently. It's no matter what happens, people will find a way to spin it regardless, right? My haters are going crazy mode. They have lost their dang minds, but that's not really new. I mean, that's just how they've always operated. They're making stuff up. They're clipping stuff out of context entirely to even when we're not talking about China. Like yesterday, March and I were talking briefly about the DNC and how like there was some tension in the air, and then someone walked into my hotel room and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And they clipped that to make it seem like it happened in China, as like someone walked into my room and put the fear of God in me or something. Yeah, that's it. They do that. They do that all the time. It's just an insane thing to do. You do not appear as enthusiastic as where you were on the New York Times, which is not as reputable as CGTN. I am keeping my eye on you. That's funny. Yeah, this is it. This is the video I'm talking about. It's such a crazy thing because it happened on camera.
Hello? I
can't even see the other clip, but his camera op here is speaking about something that happened at their hotel in Chicago at the DNC in 2024. The reason you cut the clip this way is because right before this, they discussed, oh yeah, breaking down the stream setup like at the DNC, and then memory came up.
What is going on?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I was doing the turn-down service. I left my ID there.
Oh, okay. Holy shit.
You scared us.
You can come in. It's fine.
Bro, every day all the slop tubers are yelling about something in regards to you. I know. I'm public enemy number one. I'm the biggest threat to America. Drew Pislow is documenting your vacation like one of your fan channels. I know. He's trying to farm it so hard. They do this every time you go on a trip to try and bring down the mood and make the trip about you addressing drama. No, I don't think that's the design. They're just trying to farm stuff. I'm in China. Of course they're going to try to farm antagonistic content to the best of their ability. Because you have to remember, are you whitewashing China? Yes, I'm whitewashing China by saying it's a normal country where 1.4 billion people live. It's crazy. Anyway, yes, this is the incident I was referring to in this clip. No one has just walked into our hotel rooms here. I feel infinitely safer in China versus the USA in regards to risk of bodily harm. Lamau, I feel like that's obvious. And of course, people didn't understand that. People didn't understand what Marsh was talking about, which is that there aren't guns in China. Just like there aren't guns, or there aren't like mass weapons readily available in most countries outside of the United States of America. And therefore, it is obviously much safer to do IRLs and things of that nature in places like this. You can't just like walk up to the Chinese Walmart and purchase an arsenal of weapons. And when that threat isn't there, you feel a lot safer in general. What's really interesting is I think a lot of conservative people look to that and they assume, oh, it's because they have like very strong protections and strong police or whatever. And sure, that exists as well. But a big part of the reason is because they just don't, like other countries that have competent governments don't have guns. You feel me? Or even if they do have guns, there is a lot more, there's a lot stricter controls around it. That's it. I wonder who it is that keeps complaining about losing money while traveling. I don't know what this clip is about, what they're responding to, by the way. Upload the full version now. Like and share this so the uploader knows. The curator is Bar. USA, the curator is Bar. Looking forward to the full version. Viewing China with a normal mindset while focusing on one's own development is the right path for all countries to bring a better life to their people. Oh, Austin? Hassan's face is too hard-edged. How come even straight men are somewhat attracted to him? This guy's objective and polite. Upvote. Support this internet celebrity. China tourism. Support people-to-people exchanges. Normal police in China don't carry guns. Only certain trained specialized teams have guns. That's, for the record, that is usually the norm in other countries as well. I know that sounds crazy if you're an American where you're like, what do you mean? All cops don't have an arsenal of weapons on them at their disposal at any given moment? But yeah, that's normal. Most beat cops in most countries do not have an arsenal of weapons on them at any given moment. And most human beings in general that are civilians also do not have an arsenal of weapons on them at any moment. America is the exception, not the rule. Okay? Most cops do not, yes, as this chatter correctly pointed out, most cops do not walk around like Batman. Okay? They're like, oh, look at my tool belt. I got 8 different grenades. Okay? I got 14 different types of pepper spray for different occasions. Tasers, zip ties, AR-15, shotgun, drone that can deploy munitions on you. Bro, the American police use Reaper drones now. An MQ-9 Reaper drone. Like, think about that. Think about how insane that is. First, they used it in Yemen. Now they use it on Portland, Oregon, California, Los Angeles. Yeah, cops be like, I got a weapon for every minority. What is this? They are losing relevance and spiraling out of control with more and more insane shit. Most normal people care less and less, view you more positively, or simply don't care at all, and don't see you as the worst person on the planet as they do. Your haters believe you are the most evil person on the planet, so as more and more people view you positively or just don't care, they spiral into more and more insane shit, just like how Israel defenders act and just like they are falling off. Yeah, I just don't understand why you choose to live life that way, but oh well, what are you going to do?
Someone also just told me that Hassan Piker's in China, and they call him Lemon Bro?
Yeah, apparently because he was jealous of I Show Speed, a streamer's China trip a few months ago, or maybe it was last year, I can't remember. And his sort of reaction of jealousy went viral in China.
And but why is that Lemon Bro?
Because I think like lemon, it's like you're sour. It's like you're sour because of jealousy.
Oh, that's funny.
So he's like a meme over there now.
Did China send him on the trip?
No, I don't think so. I think he went on a trip with a few other streamers, it looks like.
Oh, all right. Someone also just told me that Hassan Piker's in China.
Did he say did China send him on the trip? No. Yeah, I wish. But to be fair, I think the Chinese government is in many ways still very old school. So my style of commentary, and even I think the things that I say sarcastically that don't even translate sometimes well to an American audience would probably not be perceived very well by the Chinese government, right? So there's just it doesn't work that way. Yeah, the Communist Party of China is the ultimate like leftism means no jokes. Is the exchange rate reasonable? Overall cost of the trip manageable besides the flight? No, the trip is insanely expensive. Okay, it is. We are spending a lot of money, straight up. Even if like a lot of the stuff that you can purchase, like you can do a much cheaper China trip than the way we're doing it. We are rolling everywhere with a car. We got security. We got tour guides everywhere we go. China is very affordable. Otherwise, we're not doing that. Yeah, top hotels, rides everywhere. I mean, yeah, look. This is beautiful scenery. How much was the Adidas jacket? That's all I need from China. I don't know. Is it expensive compared to doing the same thing in other countries? No, it's cheaper. No, it's much cheaper. Things cost much less in China. Here, we're in Shanghai, okay? probably one of the most expensive housing markets in China. Okay. Shanghai is one of the most expensive housing markets in China. It's very high demand. A lot of Westerners live here. A lot of commerce takes place here. A lot of businesses here. Okay. And in Shanghai, I asked our tour guide last night, not even one of the most. Okay. Thank you. Exactly. He said the average rent for a 100 square feet apartment, which is somewhat sizable, right? I think by Chinese standards, the average not square feet, sorry, square meter, 100 square meter. I apologize. I forget. I'm not in the land of freedom no more. I can't be using freedom units. Anyway, okay. What the F is a meter? Anyway, 100 square meter apartamento in Shanghai. In Shanghai, which is the most expensive real estate market, is around $2,600. Like, imagine New York City, or San Francisco. It's just not. It's not even. And that's like expensive. That's an expensive apartment, right? So it's very expensive in comparison to the rest of China. Depending on from tier 1 to tier 4, you can go to like a tier 2 city, a tier 3 city, and your entire year's rent would be $1,000, for the record. I'm not saying it's not affordable, but comparing without a PPP adjustment is apples to oranges. Yes, obviously, it's the wages are obviously much lower in China in comparison to America as well. Except with the PPP adjustment, Shanghai is impossible to afford for the average Chinese person. Having said that, the affordability in China is far better than America. So I mean, that is clear, right? I think we all know that, right? If anything, the reason why people keep talking about PPP is purchasing power parity, for those of you who don't know. But one of the things that people constantly talk about in China is going to collapse, the economy is going to collapse, is because things are too affordable. Yeah, China has deflation. Prices are going down, but the wages are not. That's ideal for people that make wages without debt. If you notice, like, if you read any Western analysts about like what is the new problem in China, when they find something every other week, the problem that they say exists in China is that wages are fine, like they're relatively flat, they've grown, whereas things are too affordable. I know it sounds crazy, but they say that it's bad for growth because it's bad for growth because price increases don't take place in China, and therefore there's too much purchasing power, and people actually take on instead of taking on debt, they unironically hold too much money. They save too much and don't spend enough. Here is a video on this exact phenomena. While the rest of the world battles inflation, China is facing consumer prices that are just too low.
China's economy is facing a new threat. While most of the world battles inflation, China is grappling with consumer prices that are just too low. And it could be worse than the official numbers.
It just sounds it sounds so crazy. And perhaps it's one of the greatest indications that economists are ops. Because from the perspective of the average person, if money is fake and it's just like a way to circulate and a way to stimulate the economy, okay, you look at this and you're like, what's the problem then? They could just like tweak the dials, right? The government could just like tweak the dials and make sure that they can avoid certain shortfalls. And China has been able to do that over and over again, which is precisely the reason why every other week there's another article being like, China's the collapse, the collapse of China is imminent. The collapse of China is imminent. And they're just like, don't collapse. And then people just move on to the next thing. And this is the next thing, right? But it is this assessment in and of itself is a capitalist one, and one that unfortunately is stunted. It's you have these horse blinders on where you think in this capitalist hegemonic way, where you think, well, this doesn't make sense from a capitalist perspective. Like, if this happened in a capitalist country that has a decentralized structure, then it would just fail. It would be an abject failure. And yeah, I understand that. I get it. except that's just not how China operates.
China's official consumer inflation data offers limited detail, and it's not entirely clear how it's tracked. Bloomberg tracks 67 everyday items and found that prices are falling in 51 of them. And the pain is spreading. A brutal price war is breaking out across China's entire economy. If one company starts cutting prices...
Yes, money is only about resource distribution is correct. Exactly. And if your goal is to get the resources in the hands of as many people as possible, then these kinds of things are not a problem. Do you understand?
Their competitors have no choice but to follow. The result? Falling prices, collapsing profits, and no one wins. That phenomenon is called involution, but essentially it's about the fundamental imbalance between supply and demand.
There's too much supply, which obviously lowers prices. There's more supply because China is a robust China has a robust industrial base, and they produce too many things. And when you produce too many things, the price of things goes down because there's no scarcity. If you outproduce the demand, then prices are going to go down. Okay? That's what they're talking about. It's just like the prices are too good for the average Chinese. Like, you're not a capital owner. You're not a capitalist. You're not a capital owner. You're just a wage laborer, right? And if you're just a wage laborer, from your perspective, you're like, okay, things are just more affordable. Things are just cheaper. I don't care if if there's this like imminent fear of collapse. I don't think you understand economics. You can ask my previous employer, the Lehman Brothers. Yeah. My steak is too juicy. My lobster too buttery. It's bad. It's bad. We must put an end to it. It's too good, bro. You wouldn't like it. Hey, there's a term for it. It's called involution. What if the economy collapses because things are too affordable for the working poor? This is a bad thing. Okay?
This is a competition problem. It completely crushes corporate earnings and slams workers' paychecks. Last year, 25% of Chinese listed companies made a loss. That's the highest percentage this century. And in 2024, a third of companies cut jobs. This shows China is in a deep deflationary spiral. If consumers stop spending, businesses stop investing, the economy slows down, and debt piles up. Beijing is trying to hit the brakes. In July, President Xi Jinping and his top lieutenants ordered a crackdown on excessive consumption. But with the property slump deepening and consumers too nervous to spend,
Bro, you don't understand. It's stupid to buy food for yourself today if tomorrow the food is going to be cheaper. Yeah. It's just like economists, I feel like, despite being human beings, economists oftentimes operate as though they are not in their analysis. And it's interesting because the entire economy is still geared around people. And people are never going to be rational actors anyway. Like, they're not robots. So I don't understand what this analysis is supposed to do, especially if you have a different vision or a different mechanism, a different method of governance. These sorts of issues might come up, but they are easier to solve with central planning.
Experts think the government's fix won't even...
Yeah. Involution is mostly relevant in free market economies where state does not actively stimulate demand with non-profitable state contracts and regulate sectors with price controls. That's the issue. They're still operating under this faulty assessment of, well, China is a capitalist country, or whenever they want to fearmonger about China, they'll say it's communist. But whenever they want to talk about like the Chinese economy, they're like, well, it's a capitalist country. It's a capitalist country. It's like, well, they kind of wear, the way I describe it to Americans is kind of like they wear capitalism like a sleeve, right? Instead of previous methods of central planning, like previous formations of centralized planning in a command economy, the Chinese central planning revolves around controlling flows of capital. There is still obviously a lot of intervention and a lot of moving people into a certain direction, right? Moving sectors or focusing on different sectors when there is need for it, and planning that takes place far before the economy moves in that direction. But this is just how the system works. It's not an accident that you can purchase like a a fairly reliable electric vehicle in China for the cost of an expensive NVIDIA GPU. You know, like, it's crazy. That didn't happen out of nowhere. That happened because the government was like, we want to focus. We want to electrify our entire grid. We want to focus on we're the number one. We are the monopoly when it comes to the global monopoly when it comes to, you know, solar panels and renewable energies. And we want to make sure that our entire grid is less reliant on fossil fuels in general, and instead reliant on renewable energies. And therefore, they let 1,000 flowers bloom in terms of EV manufacturing for the last like decade. And the results are that they have this incredible manufacturing base for electric vehicles. Obviously, they are far too competitive in their pricing for European markets, and in an effort not to destroy their own domestic manufacturing sectors, the European markets try to limit the amount of Chinese EVs that can enter their marketplaces, and America just outright bans it, as you guys know. But this is what's going on.
Move the needle. Our tracking suggests prices in China are set to fall for the third year in a row in 2025. This is the world's second largest economy. The longer prices stay low, the greater the risk that growth will stall for years, even decades.
Here's another one from The Economist on the same topic a couple days ago. I can't watch this. This is a TikTok clip. Send me something else. Yeah. It feels like their solution to this is a single national market that will standardize rules and regulation to break down regional barriers has moved up on Beijing's agenda. Recent reforms focus on clearer property rights, easier flows of labor and capital, and improved judicial oversight of local law or local enforcement. The new private economy promotion law helps level the playing field for public and private firms while central authorities tighten oversight. The 15th five-year plan will reveal the next steps. You're actually wrong. It's better for the government to provide incentives like the EV rebate instead of increased supply. Oh, man. It's isn't that funny? Yeah, no, that's how it's supposed to work. You're right. Oh, yeah. White people don't like the Dems with Jessica Tarkoff, Hassan Piker, Tim Miller, and Simone Sanders 9 hours ago. It got released. Gotta love all the white people constantly defending the racism Zoran had to face in his campaign as if it wasn't completely obvious to any brown person, Muslim or not, that was all hysterical fear-mongering. Holy shit, this was brutal. Further exhibits that liberals will stop at nothing to undermine the leftists or truly working-class issues. White people don't like the Dems. Brought to you by Walmart. Notice how uncomfortable everyone gets when Hassan talks about basic lefty policies. Jessica looks surprised when people start clapping. Have to admit, as someone who voted for Democrats, I'm starting to side with the leftists. Moderates, I'm now realizing, aren't the adults in the room. They think they are. They're your grandma giving anachronistic financial and life advice. It seems like compromise and moderation only brings forth watered-down policy and decisions that hurt the party's credibility. I chanted, this is what democracy looks like at No Kings. But between the Electoral College and a heavily gerrymandered rural propaganda GOP-based, not to mention the capitulating Democratic Party leadership, I'm starting to realize this is what failed democracy looks like. All my life, Democrats have almost always won the popular vote, but between the Brooks Brothers riot and the insurrection, they're somehow powerless. Either they're controlled opposition or incompetent. Either way, we need a complete tear down. Oh my God. This is what I mean, brother. This is why I go on the Podjons, okay? This is why I will always go on the Podjons. This is why I will always go on these sorts of outlets and these sorts of places. You know what sucks about being a leftist, which means that you're usually right just too early, is that once people come to terms with this, there are a whole bunch of other things that I'm also advocating for that they're still not as open-minded on. Like, the example is China. For like, I'm literally sitting inside of the example, right? You will see this happen. A lot of younger generations are not going to be as aggressive towards China, and we're already seeing that. iShowSpeed has done a wonderful thing. But while a lot of people are finally starting to agree with this, like, Democrats need to be more aggressive, Democrats need to actually fight back, Democrats need to be centering the working class in their politics, and be unafraid to fight back, to push back, and then their base will reward them, and that the establishment Democrats are actually lying to you when they say moderation is key, moderation is actually the way to win. They're finally coming to terms with that conclusion, but they will still probably be very resistant to someone like myself saying, like, well, we could learn some lessons from the way China governs itself, right? Like, especially when it comes to building a robust industrial base or the heavy-handed regulatory mechanisms that exist, the checks and the controls that exist that move not in the direction of hyper profits or super profits, but more so in the direction of improving people's material conditions. Like when I say stuff like that, they go, whoa, okay, I was with you with the Democratic Party thing, but I'm not with you on this side. And I just hate that I have to wait 5 years for people to come to that conclusion as well. You know what I mean? But that's just how it is. That's how it always has been. I hate to be repetitive, but this is why I think we can do your approach while also building up a third party, because there are some impermissible things that a third party could accomplish. Sure, I mean, build it. Yeah, I'm a British guy, but this video really helped me understand why some leftists really want a third party. The panel, except Hassan, seem to want to maintain status quo and not address real causes of inequality whilst ignoring economic populism. The part that blew my mind is how they acted and Hassan spoke blasphemy for talking about Israel, shaking my hand. I was appalled when the lady in glasses said the last 10 minutes was not fun after Hassan talked about Israel. It was ridiculous. It's not exactly fun for Palestinians being killed in genocide. How can you be a party for the left and common people in support and be in support of Israel? Are we supposed to follow suit the heartless Republicans to get it? Yeah. Hassan made good point after good point after good point of this panel, and I can't even link some of his points. And I can even link some of his points, and almost every time he gets countered or disagreed with by the others on the panel. And then even at the end, they talked about big tent politics, but how they aren't socialists, they aren't communists, and democratic socialists aren't really socialists, which implies that they are okay because they aren't actually socialists. The panel is pretending that Hassan and other leftists are welcome. They will celebrate Mamdani's win because he's under the Democrat banner. But when it really comes down to it, they don't want leftists in their tent. They would rather have Republicans and former Republicans and Liz Cheney and a Fox News attitude towards politics than just fucking advocate for populist policy. Yeah, yes. It seems like they'd have an aneurysm every time Hassan brought up Israel. I don't remember. I mean, I gave you guys I told you, like, it felt strange every time I brought up Israel because, like, everyone would go, oh, don't do that, you know? It did feel like that. And I guess, like, the audience read it in the same way as well. But, yeah, this is my method. You might disagree with it. You might think it's foolish. You might think it's stupid. You might think it's unproductive. But this is my method, okay? You must go to where the masses are. You cannot organize and mobilize with an imagined proletariat that already has the revolutionary spirit in their hearts. You must organize where the masses are. You must shape your message. You do not have to lie and hide that you are a socialist if you are one, or a communist if you are one, okay, or a Marxist if you are one. Having said that, you must structure, you must never compromise on your values, but you must always structure your message in a way that is receptive, okay? Because if you believe that Americans are heavily propagandized, and that they, if they were not so heavily propagandized against concepts such as socialism, due to the success of the Red Scare, right? If you feel like Americans, like the average American, would be much more understanding of socialist policies and principles if they were to recognize their own class consciousness, then you have to speak to them not as enemies, not as ideological enemies that are attacking you because they have a vision or they have a better standing in liberal capitalist democracy, and that's the reason why they're fucking pushing for it. But instead, because they've just been heavily propagandized. That's just what it is. And the same principle goes for even MAGA. We must not be enemies, but friends. Yes, all men are brothers. If I'm at an orgy, how do I tailor my communist message there? You listen, whatever your abilities are in terms of your output in an orgy is what you put out, and you take what you need. Okay. You take what you need and you give what you can give. Sharing is caring. And this principle is applied everywhere in your life. Okay. The proper response was no loads refused. I mean, some are come hungry. And they say to all around them that I can yield those loads. I produce those loads for me. I will never refuse them. Okay. But for others, they might actually have to refuse some loads after a while. And that is always going to be the main driving force behind socialist principles in an orgy. Some can take on all loads. Others can take on some loads. Right? The point is, you do what you can and you take what you need. Is he throwing up lemons on screen? This was crazy. Every time another train would pass, there would be like this crazy noise. and I don't know how Haas did this.
Lemons on screen.
He would literally, as the bullet train was passing by, he would whiz a lemon bro.
Wow. Damn, the delay is pretty crazy. Wow. Oh, I just saw. That's crazy.
Lemon bro is pretty funny. I'll tell you. It's good. Yeah, I can't believe he did that. That is so wild. What is this? Oh, we got the Crooked Con. We got the playlist. We got Epstein emails. We talked about the Chinese methods. Oh, you can't insist that China has to lower its emissions and then later complain that China isn't putting cheap EVs all over the world. If you are worried about climate, China's green tech exports is good news. It's the COP president, Andre Correa del Lago. A flood of green tech from China is upending global climate politics. A flood of green tech from China is upending global climate politics. At this year's climate summit, the United States is out and Europe is struggling, but emerging countries are embracing renewable energy thanks to a glut of cheap equipment. This is like a very interesting take. It's a very interesting perspective because it's honest reporting because it's meeting. Remember, mainstream outlets obviously at the end of the day still have a duty to inform their audiences. And if your goal is to inform your audience, you have to every now and then say the truth about foreign adversaries and what they're doing right. And the New York Times is one of my favorite outlets to read on Chinese stuff because they will be like, China has yielded an explosive growth of renewable energy all around the world, but at what cost? Like they'll be like, China cured cancer, but at what cost? Like they would just straight up be like, yeah, this is good, but also have we considered that this actually makes China look too good and we don't like that? Or what about our super profits? Oftentimes that is the counter. Oftentimes that is the argument. Okay? Isn't that more like the Wall Street Journal? I mean, there is not a lot of daylight between New York Times and Wall Street Journal when it comes to covering China. Also, speaking of China, one of the things I wanted to show you is Shanghai has been the special economic zone in China far before China developed to the degree that it did, right? So it was always one of the more developed areas. That's why there's this area called Bund, which is the colonial sector, basically, where like all of the Western style buildings are. Okay. And what's really remarkable about it is, here it is. Since Hassan is in Shanghai now, here's a picture of Pudong, Shanghai in 1990 versus 2010. Pudong was once a ghost city. Now it's the financial center of Shanghai with 5+ million inhabitants. Okay. And that's since 2010. It's even grown. It's exploded in size since then. So this side of the river, this right here, was already developed far before anywhere else was, right? In China. It was already a developed part. It was like an entry point, special economic zone, entry point into the Chinese markets by Western capitalists, right? There was nothing here. And now, and I'm on this side right now. I'm literally right here somewhere. Like I'm here somewhere, but I'm looking at, oh wait, no, I'm not. No, I'm actually over here. Sorry. I literally am like right there, I think, on the other side of the river. I'm on the new side. Okay. I was here on the old side last night. I'm on the new side somewhere around here. Okay. And this is the story of China in general. Like no matter where you go, this is how it is. Don't leak your location. The fuck? I mean, it's pretty safe. What was the time difference there? I think China only has one time zone. It's just no matter where you go. Pretty sure it's just Beijing time. But it's 7 a.m. here. Whereas while it is 7 a.m. here, it is 3 p.m. in Los Angeles. Playlist updated. Sky News got a recent video about the Epstein emails. Okay, thank you. Yeah, dog, I just got a fucking Google notification that you were detained in China. That did not happen. Guys, I don't understand this. I'm an American citizen. I live in the United States of America. Why the fuck would the media lie about such an easily observable thing? I don't get it. Do they think I don't have the capacity to tell people that that's not the case? Like, what is going on? What the hell is going on? Yeah, I'm in a Chinese prison right now. This is what it is, I guess. Or it's a pre-recorded stream. It doesn't make any sense, dude. But it's kind of funny because a big part of my job is media criticism and trying to instill media literacy in my audience. And what's been interesting is I've covered the way that Western press covers China in general, but I never, perhaps I was foolish for this, but I never imagined that I would be at the center of a story like that. You know, would you be able to compare it to the city you're in, to any other city outside of China you've been to? I mean, Chinese cities are very different in many ways, but if we're being real, if we're being really real, okay, I would say Ashley tweeted, it's real. It is a real Google push notification. We got to chill. This is wild. Hasan Piker was detained during a China live stream. What the fuck? What is happening? Western communist sympathizer gets a taste of real communism as a Western journalist wet dream. Yeah, but what do you mean? But it didn't happen. What is happening? Okay, sure. I understand that. Like that's like a very cool for the China beat, for all of the reporters reporting from Taipei, that this is a fantastic opportunity for them, right? To like write this article to be like, oh yeah, Hasan gets fucking destroyed by his own vision for a better tomorrow. Like, yeah, guess what, idiot? But that's not a thing that if it happened, then sure, right? Write about it all day. But that's not what took place. As someone who has been detained by the American government, what took place was not that. I like how no one reached out to you for comment. Yeah, because if they did, I'd be like, you're a fucking idiot. I'm literally streaming right now. What is happening? I'm streaming. I'm doing IRLs out and about. Like, they're gonna be like, the Chinese government has actually limited his movement in free movement in the country. If I've learned anything from this stream, it's that truth and reality don't matter at all. I know, but it's such a stupid thing to lie about because it's just like observable reality. Even the thing that people are talking about with like, oh, I don't really feel any sense of patriotism for America. What's really funny about that? What's really funny about that is like, I was just saying, like, I don't fully understand why. Like, I don't understand the significance of the flag raising ceremony because there are a lot of patriotic Chinese people. And I was saying, like, if there was a similar thing that took place in America, right? Like, this is not something I would participate in. And I was just saying that, like, I don't have this this sense of patriotism in me. It's not for me, but I found it very interesting to observe this experience for many others. And I try to comprehend like what motivates people to feel this way, what motivates people to have a sense of pride. And it's really interesting that they just like clipped it to be like, Hasan waving the Chinese flag says he doesn't have any patriotism for America. And it's like, I feel like even that backfires on a lot of people because they're like, I've seen a lot of people comment on that being like, yeah, I don't feel any patriotism towards America either. Have you seen our government? Like, the point I was making wasn't that. Guttural social credit, tofu drag, debt trap diplomacy. We are very much used to the Western snake tongue. Now you're experiencing it personally. What a great thing to share. I mean, what are you talking about, Top G? This has been my fucking political career. You are pretty patriotic towards the Ottoman Empire. No, I'm not. That's a meme. How do you reach out to someone who's detained though? True. That's true. You can't reach out to me because I was obviously detained and arrested and in prison. They did technically restrict your movement. You are not allowed on military bases. True. Also true. Hasan, when did you say you don't have patriotism? You were detained and were never there to say it. Can't believe China wasted their money on this frivolous spectacle when they could have just been trafficking guns to Sunni radicals in Syria, bombing fishermen in Venezuela, or shooting down missionary planes in Peru. Exactly. Much better way to use your funds, man. I don't understand what this drone shit looks like. All right. Speaking of not feeling a sense of patriotism in my heart, I'm going to show you two things. This is a 1 minute and 25 second Shanghai evolution from 1978 to 2019, a time lapse. Okay. This is part of the reason why Chinese people do feel patriotic. Okay. Here, let's take a look at this. And then I'll show you why, even though patriotism isn't for me necessarily, this makes it extra hard to feel any kind of patriotic about the United States of America. You feel me? Does that make you understand? Nah, bro, this is propaganda. I know. Okay, but have you considered watching this with scary music instead of hopeful music? True. Once again, doing propaganda. It's just the work speaks for itself, right? It's just undeniable. You cannot argue with results. And that is the problem. Hassan, as a member of the Communist Youth League, I recommend you visit the site of the First National Congress of the Communist Party of China. It's of great historical significance. Yes. I wanted to. I was supposed to today, but they said we can't stream it, I don't think. Also, I got to do some fun shit too for everybody else. That's fun shit for me, right? That's fun shit for me, but we got to give treats to everybody else. You feel me? Like, we already were in Beijing. I already enjoyed my time. And I want, if it were up to me, like coming here, I think with Alex and Alexa, Boy and I did a thing, or like Brace Belden and Alex and Alexa would probably yield very different results, if you know what I mean. But I think it's fun. It's fun to experience all this stuff with friends. I missed meeting you in Beijing. It's all good. It's all good, King. Next time. Highly recommend going to Shanghai Urban Planning Museum. It is a scale model of Shanghai that takes up the whole floor of the museum. Have you gone to a vintage Marxist store yet? No. But the team here that I'm working with got me a copy of the Red Book that is from that's super old, and it's very, very exciting. It's like a literal artifact, and I wanted to get it. All right. Let's talk about why it's increasingly more difficult to feel patriotic about America now that we're on that subject.
Another November day outside the U.S. Capitol. Inside, there was business unusual.
This just doesn't make sense.
A big story just got bigger, with fresh revelations on the Epstein affair. Yet more notes on a scandal. Yet again, they cite the president. In Jeffrey Epstein emails, released by the House Oversight Committee. One from 2011 to his co-accused Ghislaine Maxwell reads, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. A victim named Redacted spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there." Ghislaine Maxwell replied, "I have been thinking about that." Epstein emailed the writer Michael Wolff.
By the way, another side of this Epstein saga that is not getting a lot of coverage is the unimaginable amount of media and investigative reporting that has come out surrounding, Mike is a bit hot, really, the unimaginable amount of media that has come out from Drop Site News that shows, in my opinion, conclusively that Jeffrey Epstein is or was most likely an asset for the Israeli state. And I know that is like a no shit situation for many. You're gonna be like, oh really? No shit, duh, right? Sure. Wait, where is this? Where the fuck did I'm trying to fix my settings here, chatters. Sorry. Open system mixer. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. Here's a minute-by-minute update if you want to know some more deets. Democracy Now! Covered it. Yeah, so that's one of the aspects of this this Jeffrey Epstein saga that's gone a little bit unnoticed, perhaps by design. But every other week there is another article that comes out from Dropsite that's like, Jeffrey Epstein was in Kazakhstan ordering Israeli surveillance technology for Kazakhstan. Like, it's crazy. I keep reading them over and over again, but it's it's strange to me at this point that we do not actually cover it at all in our media. Hold on. Maybe I can lower the gain a little bit. Is it working? Is it lowering the gain at all for you guys? No, I don't think it is. Never mind. This is not working. Okay. Well, it's not. Okay. Maybe I can like manually lower it here. This might be a little bit better. Is it still peaking? No, gain is still hot. Might be OBS. No. Okay. Anyway, I'm just like lowering the audio a little bit manually on this side, so it's not hitting the red unless I yell. All right, here it is. This is good, I think. The gain is fine. The volume is now low, but you guys said that the mic peaks, so I'm trying to fix that, but I can't fix it within the software for some reason. So here's what I was pointing to. Okay. An example from the newly released file showing how consultants sought to influence Google search results, buying articles about Jeffrey Epstein being a billionaire pedophile or having a diary of his underage victims, and then boosting articles about his philanthropy. But also, in addition to helping, this is what I was talking about. In addition to helping broker deals between Israel and Mongolia, Russia, and the Ivory Coast, Epstein had a senior Israeli intelligence officer with personal ties to former CIA director Leon Panetta live at his apartment for weeks-long stretches between 2013 and 2016. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, this is like... This is one of the most obvious Israel-aligned pedophile, sex trafficking, blackmail networks out there. Why the fuck was this guy traveling to fucking Mongolia or even talking about like hiring Mossad, former Mossad and former IDF agents for security details for like anti-government business leaders in China at the time? This is before like Xi cracked down on corruption, right? Like he was having these conversations with Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel, Ehud Barak. You don't have these sorts of fucking conversations unless you are a direct contractor or a direct operative for Mossad. Like, you know how we talk about China trade maxes? Jeffrey Epstein was power broker maxing, I guess. He just had, that was his kink. Aside from the pedophilia, the other thing he was doing all the time was just like brokering deals. He just couldn't stop himself. I guess that's what it was. You know? Pedophilia and brokering deals. That's what it is. Demanding meetings with Putin rather than his envoy. Yeah, it's just like it's so transparent, and it's crazy that it's always just like Drop Site or Intercept or Democracy Now. All of these other friends of the show and outlets that are outside of like legacy papers that are publishing this kind of stuff. And I don't understand what the fuck is going on here. Like how much longer can you avoid talking about this part? Because Americans see it, right? They see it. They recognize what's going on here. Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein to U.S. Special Envoy to Syria, Tom Barak, who is another favorite character on the show. You guys know who he is. He's the one who was like, yeah, Hezbollah has no incentive to disarm, but what the fuck can they do about it? We will destroy them. Borders are meaningless. What is important is what Israel wants in terms of borders. Like, this is what the fucking Special Envoy to Syria and Lebanon, Tom Barak, was saying over and over again. Anyway, here's a fucking email between Jeffrey Epstein and Special Envoy, Donald Trump's U.S. Special Envoy to Syria, Tom Barak. Jeffrey Epstein, in 2016, sends an email to Tom Barak saying, send photos of you and child, make me smile. To which Felix says, well, yes, this does seem nauseating, but it's not like Trump has this guy working on places that have outsized amounts of orphans and other children that cannot be accounted for. This is the type of shit that makes even someone like myself, who is a heavy scrutinizer of conspiratorial narratives, even though I am obviously an enjoyer of conspiracies, I'm very critical of conspiratorial thinking. But when I see stuff like this, and then I see the media refuse to cover it, or the media just like never entertain this stuff, I think to myself, okay, what are we doing here? Like, am I becoming increasingly crazy? Why is there not enough coverage on this stuff? What the hell is going on? Especially because it's not like the media is fond of Donald Trump. This is a great line of attack for Donald Trump. You know, a uniquely unpopular and despotic leader that is moving America in the direction of fascism. Why the fuck is the New York Times not all over this shit? You know? Click translate on this. Gustavo Petro went beast mode. First of all, went beast mode. There's never a moment where he's not doing beast mode. Gustavo Petro says a clan of pedophiles wanted to end democracy in Colombia and to keep the list Epstein from coming out. And they sent battleships to kill fishermen from this city. And they threatened the neighbor. How is the people of Colombia going to applaud the invasion of the people of Venezuela? Would we be such traitors and sellouts to our own people? President Petro Gustavo, one of my favorites. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, one of my faves. He's always going fucking beast mode, dude. He is the GOAT. I love him. I think the situation in Latin America would be very different if the USSR still existed. Okay, like this is the type of leader that the foreign adversary, the scary socialist communist countries would immediately identify as a ally, an ideological ally that's willing to demonstrate sovereignty for Latin American peoples, for Latin American countries in general. Most guilty human in history. Oh, this is the other one. New leaked emails show that Jeffrey Epstein helped arrange talks between the Israeli government, Côte d'Ivoire, how do you say it? Ivory Coast, that culminated in the signing of a formal defense agreement in 2014. Epstein made introductions at held meetings before Ivorian leaders and Israeli intelligence linked firms. Côte d'Ivoire. Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire. Okay. Ivory Coast. I'm too American. I'm too fucking American. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, Chad. Shh. I'm too goddamn American. Stop it. Okay? And Israeli intelligence linked firms and individuals that helped lay the groundwork for the deal to help flood the Ivory Coast with Israeli surveillance tech. This is the latest entry in a series of stories about Epstein's links to the intelligence world, including in Africa. Link in next post. So there have been so many articles like this. But they're all on drop site. They're all on independent outlets. Yeah, this was full audio of Trump saying he broke ties with Epstein after he poached young women from Mar-a-Lago. In this clip, Trump casually admits to witnessing underage sex trafficking and not reporting it to the authorities. 2, stopping in the middle of said underage sex trafficking testimony to promote his spa at Mar-a-Lago where said underage sex trafficking occurred. And then there's an update from Adam Johnson from an hour ago in this email, this tranche of emails that was released by the Democrats. In another email, Epstein refers to Trump almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool. He was so focused, he walked straight into the door. Yeah, like a cartoon, like a cartoonish fat guy floating over time and space, going towards a scent trail, floating whimsically in the direction of a pie on a windowsill. One of the craziest parts about this is that hey, Jeffrey Epstein, for all my dyslexics out there, Jeffrey Epstein became the most prolific sex trafficker. Not saying that you can enter that field, but if you're dyslexic, you shouldn't let that get in the way of your ambitions and dreams, whatever they might be. Hopefully they're not a criminal espionage enterprise for an apartheid state, of course. But look at the way he fucking writes, dude. Jesus Christ. Read the feed, read my airplane logs, and Hawaiian Tropic Contest. What are we doing here, man? He said Hawaiian. Have them ask my houseman about Donad almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused he walked straight into the door. Donad. Now everyone coming to me thinking I have juicy info on you and Trump. Thomas Landon Jr. wrote, because of this, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. Trump booms from a speakerphone. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life. That story will never die, says Landon Thomas Jr., financial reporter for the New York Times. This is in 2015, by the way. And more emails are coming out right now. Oh my God. Blow after blow after blow. Oh, hell yeah. Daniel Boguslaw, investigative reporter for the Rolling Stone, Vice, Intercept, writes, Epstein writes to his lawyer, have one of your cronies. Oh, God, I can't fucking. I feel like he's giving me a fucking aneurysm trying to read his dyslexic ass, bro. No disrespect to the dyslexics in the chat, but god damn. I guess he just maxed out on the espionage stuff, and he was min-maxing. He just could not write. Let's zoom in on this. This is Jeffrey Epstein, 2012, to Reed Weingarten. Have one of your cronies asked to see the mortgage to Mar-a-Lago, cash from Electricinia's union. His driver, Matt, was the bagman, later made an exec at the Public Co., and the $30 million loan from the casino to Donald Trump backdated. One of the other things that Jeffrey Epstein was doing, aside from being a sex trafficker of minors, was that he was also a prolific writer, despite the fact that he can't write at all. He is functionally illiterate and very dyslexic. But that didn't stop him from sending fucking emails from his Jeffrey Epstein vacation at gmail.com account. And he was literally corresponding with Ehud Barak, with influential reporters, heads of state, other heads of state, you know, and of course, numerous American officials. And he just kept emailing over and over again. Now, the reason why we have all of these emails is not because the Democrats released it, but like part of the reason why we have a lot of these emails is because they hacked his. I think it might have been Iran, potentially. That was the suspicion. But somebody basically hacked the Jeffrey Epstein vacation at gmail.com email account and uploaded all of that. And that's where a lot of this drop site reporting has been coming from. But now that it was actually, I think it was Iran. But now that it's actually something that the Democrats are paying close attention to, we shall see what happens. This will become more and more. Like all of this stuff, all of these emails, all this stuff will, I think, become more important in the normie sphere. Handala, Iranian hackers, it was Iran, right? Russia says they have videos, so it may have been both. I'm not going to lie to you. I trust Iran more than I trust Russia when it comes to Israel-related shit. Russia and America are ops. Russia and Israel are not ops in the same way that Russia and America are ops. So when it comes to covering stuff, like you have to match adversaries and what their actual ambitions are. Russia is a lot closer to Israel than you would think. Sure, they play the role of a regional superpower in the Middle East, and they have their own ambitions. And obviously, Israel is like America's very own, not even like client state, basically, but just like a forward operating base in the region. But Russia is very close to Israel, both by its nationals living in Israel with like their dual citizenship. In maybe I would go so far as to say that after America and how much Israeli politics and Israeli influence, like Israel's influence, plays a formative role in both the domestic affairs of the United States of America and also its foreign policy, I would say in Russia, it's nowhere near as aggressive, but it's still very much, it's a ever-present force there as well. Because remember, Russian is the third most spoken language in Israel after Hebrew and English. And a big chunk of the Ashkenazi Jewish base in Israel, like the Ashkenazi Jewish population in Israel, and maybe not even Ashkenazi Jewish and not Jewish at all population of Israeli citizens that just say they're Jewish now, are Russian. It's a major population in Israel. Russia has more Yakubian technologists, it's true. Especially when they unveiled the vault that showed that Jesus Christ was black, when they opened the oldest vault in the world. So yeah, I would say that like this treasure trove of email data probably did not come from the FSB, but more so from, more likely from Iran. Iran is obviously a maximum op for Israel because it's smack dab in the middle of this region and has its own resources. And obviously does not want Israeli intervention in the region. You're not supposed to know about that? What? I am a child of Yaqub myself, so that's why I know my history. All right, I'm serious, man. For the good of the nation, why not try to get some of this out there? I would not do it myself, but would pass on to a political reporter. Plus, look at these lies. In response to a message left seeking the Trump campaign's comment on this article on Thursday, Trump's general counsel Alan Garden email threatening legal action against BuzzFeed News. Mr. Trump's only connection with Mr. Epstein was that Mr. Epstein was one of thousands of people who has visited Mar-a-Lago. That's it. Mr. Trump has never been accused of having any involvement or even having any knowledge of Mr. Epstein's conduct by anyone, Garden wrote. As a result, I have no idea what the purpose of your article could possibly be other than to try and intentionally and with actual malice defame my client's name and reputation by mentioning him. This is what Jeffrey Epstein responded to, right? He said, he sent this article and he said, my 20-year-old girlfriend in 93, that after 2 years, I gave to Donald. Hawaiian Tropic Girl, Lauren Petrella. Yes, would you like photo of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen? Now everyone coming to me thinking I have juicy info on you and Trump. But what will happen after these jobs? Like nothing, right? I mean, dude, what are we doing? Are you kidding me? What the fuck are we doing? Israel is at its lowest popularity. Israel is so unpopular that I would say millions of Americans convinced themselves after watching fucking Candace Owens videos that Charlie Kirk was assassinated by the state of Israel. Okay? That's how unpopular Israel is. That's how little people care about Israel. That's how much people have disdain for Israel. You could literally have a natural disaster tomorrow. And God forbid, hopefully it does not happen. But if someone were to be like, yeah, Israel did this with their weather machine, I think most Americans, well, not most Americans, but a decent chunk of Americans would believe it. That's how unpopular Israel is. And Jeffrey Epstein is directly related to Israel. In the eyes of many Americans, they see Jeffrey Epstein as a Mossad agent. In the eyes of many Americans, they also believe that Israel has a sophisticated blackmail operation that operates within the confines of the United States, and it's an international blackmail operation, and Jeffrey Epstein was basically the figurehead of said blackmail operation. And there is obviously truth to that, right? There's truth to that. The difference, of course, the problem here is that many Americans don't realize that the CIA also is working in tandem with the Mossad. It's not one or the other. It's not just one. It's both, right? And a lot of people don't understand that, and a lot of people don't want to see that. Do you have a sense of the public opinion of Israel and China and how the media discusses it? It's not controversial. Everyone is. Most people, I think, are pro-Palestine here. It's not even a thing. He called Donald Ladd dirty, bro. Wait, what? Most prolific child sex trafficker of all time calling you dirty? Goodness gracious. Jeffrey Epstein in 2018 said, I know how dirty Donald is. You see, I know how dirty Donald is. My guess is that non-lawyers, New York biz people have no idea what it means to have your fixer flip. It makes no difference whether it was his money issue, his failure to disclose, plus the fact that he lied his ass off about it makes it clear that he knew it was illegal. This is regarding New York Times, Donald Trump's high crimes and misdemeanors to Kathy Remler. I think he makes the argument that it was Trump's money, making it not illegal, though he also said he only found out afterwards. And the fact, according to the indictment, was billed as services rendered and grossed up. I'm sure his account has flipped anyway. I did talk in detail to Starr yesterday regarding indictments, how Trump can make a deal. Special counsel, Clinton's trash can. Yes, Starr gave me more. Yech. Here's a story from the New York Times that I thought you'd find interesting. The principled case for impeachment is clear. What's missing is the courage. That's so fun. It's top to bottom. I know. Sorry. Read like a Twitter post, brother. Bottom up. Yeah. This is so strange. It's so strange. Also, if you want to know what the Chinese attitude towards Israel is, in 1965, Mao Zedong said on Palestine, Israel, and Taiwan, he said, imperialism fears the Chinese and Arabs. Israel and Taiwan are strongholds of imperialism in Asia. Palestine is the front door of this great continent, and mainland China is the back door. They are Americans who created Israel for you and Formosa for us. Formosa is the OG name of the island that is now also known as Taiwan, where the KMT escaped to in the aftermath of the Civil War, where they lost to the PLA. Bro, can this guy type normally? No, they can't. He can't. If we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, no, he can't. It's not the OG name. It's the Portuguese name. True. My bad. I just mean it's more OG than... Like that's the reason why he's calling it that. Well, two reasons why Jeffrey Epstein can't type normally: because he's dead. And I think a lot of this information coming out makes people go, if I recall correctly, he did die under the custody of the state under the Trump administration. How strange. He did die in the custody of the state under the Trump administration. I know conservatives are not the smartest people. They lack object permanence, and they think that the initial shutdowns during COVID actually happened under Biden, even though it fucking literally happened under Donald Trump. Or January 6th also happened under Donald Trump, not under Biden. It wasn't Biden's FBI that was doing it. It was Donald Trump's FBI that was doing it, even if you were to blame FBI for January 6th. I know conservatives forget that kind of stuff because it just doesn't fucking fit in their dense skulls. But Jeffrey Epstein did die in the custody of the state under the Trump administration. Okay? So this level of connection to Donald Trump and his willingness to talk about Donald Trump being a dirty, dangerous person, all this stuff, and the level of connection that he had to Donald Trump in general calls into question, once again, how Jeffrey Epstein died. I mean, I never entertained the suicide theory in general. I think it's fucking stupid. But yeah, I did see all of this. All I'm saying is, I didn't see this one. To Peter Thiel, that was fun. See you in 3 weeks. Bro, they are in full flail at Fox. The reply of the 5 wouldn't even say Epstein's name. Want to see what it looks like when Fox News devotes an entire segment to the new Epstein emails to discuss Trump without anyone ever mentioning what they say?
Caroline Leavitt fielded questions about the release of those emails from House Democrats related to President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, calling it a manufactured hoax. That was moments ago at the White House. Our senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy was in that briefing and joins us now.
Totally.
Hi, Peter.
Just a hoax, man.
Sandra, the argument from officials here that was made by Caroline Leavitt in the briefing room a few minutes ago is that there's a tell that shows that these Epstein emails being released today is a partisan exercise by congressional Democrats. This is how she came to that conclusion.
There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C., and it is not a coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the government. This is another distraction campaign by the Democrat and the liberal media, and it's why I'm being asked questions about Epstein instead of the government reopening because of Republicans.
And just a few minutes after Caroline Leavitt went back in...
Interesting. Are the emails leaked or are they fake news? No, the emails are not fake news. Reporting on the government briefing instead of the news, and they have the audacity to call out China for not having freedom of press. I mean, yeah, it's just... Remember, these are privately owned media companies, so it's different. It's not different. Every government does this, okay? Every single government does this. The American government does this. Every government does this. Even, what do you think I'm talking about when I say the very fact that Dropsite is one of the few fucking outlets that's been consistently reporting about the Epstein-Israel involvement and connection, as opposed to mainstream outlets that normally wouldn't be fond of Donald Trump? That is the same thing. That is a pliant media apparatus that obviously goes along with whatever the ambitions of the State Department are, even if it's technically Donald Trump, who they are supposed to be antagonistic towards. Okay? There are certain lines that the media does not cross. That's it. And it's the same principle behind it. Just because it looks independent, because they're all individually owned and operated, doesn't change that reality. Right? One of the craziest things happening right now is how there's been a report after report after report showing that Epstein was really an Israeli intelligence operative based on publicly available documents, and yet it has no measurable impact on mainstream media or politics. Israeli spy stayed for weeks at a time with Jeffrey Epstein in Manhattan. We don't care. I'm a Zionist, and I don't think about Israel 1/1,000,000th of the time that you groypers think about it. It doesn't matter. Calling Caitlin Johnstone a groyper is pretty funny. Jeffrey Epstein helped broker Israeli security agreement with Mongolia. Jeffrey Epstein and the Mossad, how the sex trafficker helped Israel build a back channel to Russia amidst Syrian civil war. Jeffrey Epstein helped Israel sell a surveillance state to the Ivory Coast. I'm somehow not surprised he was besties with Israel. Yeah. Who could have thought? Who would have ever thought that it would be a prolific, a pedophilic sex trafficker, you know? Who would have ever thought? What is this? This is crazy. Brother, this is a groyper account. I don't know the veracity of these claims. The Secret Service memo reads, our new backers are the Jews as soon as they take care of Kennedy. Why was this line erased from history? I don't know if this is a real document or not. I don't know what the fuck this is. But that account does pose wacky shit. Anyway, let's keep going.
Her office in upper press, President Trump posted this on Truth Social. He said the Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. He goes on, there should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else, and any Republicans involved should be focused only on opening up our country. The White House also argued that they have been extremely transparent when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, asking the Justice Department to release grand jury information, for example, something that a judge ultimately said couldn't be done right now. Sandra.
Aw, Peter Douchey. In Fox News' 4 p.m. hour, the network finally tells viewers about the dog that hasn't barked email. Still no mention of course he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop.
All right, more, by the way, from Capitol Hill today. House Democrats releasing new Epstein emails, some of them referencing President Trump. The White House is pushing back on those emails and how the media is portraying them. Fox News senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy has the latest.
Peter Douchey.
And, Will, officials here at the Trump White House, of course, would rather talk about their efforts to get the government reopened, something they hope happens later on today. But instead of just talking about that, they are also talking about these newly released emails, including this one from 2011. It is Jeffrey Epstein emailing his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. This one says, I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim, redacted name, spent hours at my house with him, has never once been mentioned. Officials here, though, are puzzled about why Democrats redacted the name of a victim, since that victim wrote a whole book about all this.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. And this email you refer to with...
Is that what happened? I don't know. Can't believe they actually quoted it on Fox News. The dog that hasn't barked means very suspicious, similar to the elephant in the room for anyone who hasn't heard that before. Breaking, the New York Times reporting that Trump personally called Republican Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace to try to get them to remove their signatures from the Epstein files discharge petition. Mace didn't pick up, and Boebert reportedly doesn't plan on removing her name. Dude, if the conspiracy stuff is the only earnest expression of populism that these guys will fucking actually lean into, and this yields actual information, I will take it, okay? It is a real dog that caught the car moment for the Republican Party that leaned into this stuff for years and years, only to be hoisted by their own petard. I don't think Nancy Mace is going to stand firmly here. I don't think Nancy Mace is a careerist. She's an operator. Sorry. And I don't think that Nancy Mace is going to, I think Nancy Mace could flip. Nancy Mace, I'm so sick of the fake news focusing on Trump and not Epstein victims. Mr. President, fret not. The cavalry has arrived. Representative Woe Vicky is about to save your administration by sprinting to the nearest press scrum and screaming, why won't y'all stop lampshading me? Everyone knows Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, and Epstein victims have exonerated the president. Stop gaslighting and start telling the victim stories. Makes me sick. Those who abuse underage girls need to see jail time. Tell that story. Yeah. Trump ramps up pressure on GOP to thwart Epstein vote. This is why I never considered the Epstein stuff to be a distraction from the other ambitions of the administration. Right? Because this is the story. If we're being real, this is the thing that Trump doesn't want out there. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that his base does respond to. It's one of those things that, like, the more populist figures in the administration can't actually cast aside so easily, partially because they ate off of this. For the longest time, this was the meta, because they could tie Jeffrey Epstein to the Democrats, which, by the way, he's still very much tied to the Democrats as well. Do not make that mistake, okay? all that doesn't matter anymore. She signed and you can't take your name off when it hits 218. Discharge petition is on days a few feet away from where Adalita Grijalva will speak. She's sworn in now, and once she finishes her opening speech, she can become the 218th to sign. No sign of any R that might take their signature off. That's that. She signed number 218. Immediately after she signed and the discharge hit 218, Massey and Ro convened a strategy session with Whip Clark, the top Dem on rules, McGovern, a few senior staff, and other Dems right in the well of the House. My understanding is that the relentless pressure campaign, this is from the congressional correspondent of the New York Times, Annie Carney. My understanding is that the relentless pressure campaign that has included carrot, stick, good cop, bad cop has made her even more dug in, suspicious, and convinced there's a conspiracy at play. I asked Lauren Boebert about September 16th if there was any way she would take her name off the Jeffrey Epstein discharge petition. No, she told me. Oh my God. Oh my God. Reese Gorman, politics reporter for Not Us, says Trump and his team only have until 2 more hours to get one Republican to take their name off the Epstein discharge petition. Once Grijalva is sworn in at 4, she can sign the petition and the names are frozen. No one can remove their names after she becomes the 218th signer. And that was already 5 hours ago. So it already happened, right? Trump called Boebert and is playing phone tag with Mace right now, per a source. So this already happened. They gave her 207 Trump hats. I'm not kidding when I say this. Since the vote is happening next week, Speaker Johnson says Jeffrey Epstein bill will be on the floor next week. We're going to put that on the floor for a full vote when we get back next week. He told reporters he's going to fucking like nuke Caracas or something. The only honest expression of politics for the Trump administration has been his own personal ambitions in deal making. What I mean by this is the only time we have seen any sort of positive results from this administration has been in the direction of his dipshit son-in-law Jared Kushner and Donald Trump making money off of Gulf leadership and Gulf states and implementing development projects, right? And that is why he has actually, in some ways, tried to keep Israel from continuing its genocide full force of the Palestinians, right? And on the other side, within the base, within the caucuses of the Republican Party, the only earnest expression of politics is mania, conspiratorial mania. It's so crazy. There is no real like political ideology that motivates these people. Politicians are ambitious. Politicians are insincere. They're indecent. And they oftentimes will play ball. They will manage your expectations. They'll subvert. They'll change their attitude on things. We see this on the Democratic Party side all the time, right? But there is some sincerity, I think. And this is one of those things. I can't believe it. The most sincere demonstration of a politician doing something that might actually hurt their standing within the party infrastructure, no matter how careerist they may be, is, on the right at least, conspiratorial thinking. They cranked up the cranks for far too long. And now, while they were reliable votes here and there, the cranks are actually fighting back. Because this is, for the cranks, a real issue of consequence, something that they do care about. I think. I hope I'm not being too hopeful here. Once again, you don't normally hear me say stuff like this. I usually say, things won't change. I'm usually in the camp of like, especially when it comes to stuff like this, nothing ever happens. But I do feel like this is one of those issues where people are just like, no, I want to know what it is. Maybe it's because they are maybe it's because they're suspicious, or maybe it's because they are genuinely invested for one reason or another. But, maybe they want to blow the lid off this corruption thing. Who knows? But it is quite remarkable that they've been steadfast in their approach to the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. It's one of the few instances where you see like these fucking right-wing freaks actually continue in spite of the pressure coming from Trump.
The name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Guffrey. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Guthrie maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her.
House Oversight Republicans are saying Democrats continue to carelessly cherry-pick documents to generate clickbait that is not grounded in the facts. The Epstein estate has produced over 20,000 pages of documents on Thursday, yet Democrats are once again intentionally withholding records that name Democrat officials. Democrats should stop politicizing this investigation and focus on delivering transparency, accountability, and justice for survivors. And officials here basically believe that the biggest tell that all of this is politics as usual from congressional Democrats, as opposed to an effort by Democrats to get justice for Epstein victims, is that congressional Democrats lost all interest in this during the Biden administration, and that is indisputable. Will.
That is indisputable, as is the name Virginia Giuffre, who specifically contradicted what is suggested today by the press and by Democrats from these emails. I do think, Peter, the other big takeaway is the emails between Jeffrey Epstein and journalist Michael Wolff, who seemed to be coaching Epstein through this entire enterprise on how to blackmail President Trump.
If not coaching, then at a minimum advising. And to the point that the White House is making here about the lack of interest that congressional Democrats had during the Biden years, the folks who are on the Democratic side who say now that it is an urgent national security issue to get these Epstein documents out lost 4 years worth of momentum. And now they are back. The White House thinks the timing of everything is suspicious, and basically that they are just these House Democrats are sitting on different things to selectively leak on days that the news might be bad for them, like the day that a shutdown comes to an end. So we'll see how it plays out.
All right. Thank you, Peter Ducey.
Bro, did you lose weight? No, but thank you for thinking that and saying that. I did not lose weight. I'm gaining weight. I'm fat now. I'm fat again. Trump has been saying the Dems are distracting from the shutdown cave. I mean, there is some truth to that, but I don't give a fuck, and I don't think the people give a fuck either. This is one of those moments where it's like the priority for the average person is to know the truth. The priority for the average person is to find out exactly what level of involvement Donald Trump and like American politicians and international leaders had with Jeffrey Epstein, what the client list looks like. That is the priority for people. It doesn't matter. Trump could be like, oh, this is just a distraction, which is interesting because that's like kind of a Democratic Party line of attack. Oh, don't look at this like very interesting thing that you have a lot of investment in and just remind yourself that it's actually bad to look at it because it's just simply a distraction. Okay, nobody gives a shit. Quick, brother, please, what is your prediction on this Epstein crud? Yeah, people hear that and they go, distract me more, please. I would like to be distracted with this. Drone strikes, Syrian bombing. What do you mean? Because remember, the Trump administration, aside from Jeffrey Epstein, like being heavily involved with Israel, the Trump administration is chock full of Epstein associates. Okay. I mean, I guess you could say that about like the Democrats as well, because he was a fairly powerful power broker for both parties. But does this not strike you as odd that like every fucking person that Jeffrey Epstein was in direct contact with, whether it be like Peter Thiel, or whether it be any number of different people like that Jeffrey Epstein was in direct correspondence with regular fucking frequency, they're all over the Trump admin. And they were on Trump 1 too. Like Alexander Acosta, Howard Lutnick, all these people. Alexander Acosta was Donald Trump's labor secretary, man. Alexander Acosta was the fucking prosecutor that gave Jeffrey Epstein the sweetheart plea bargain the first time he got caught for sex trafficking minors. Like, what are we doing? Even fucking Bill Barr, who was the head of the DOJ at the time, right? The attorney general at the time, overseeing the federal corrections facility that Jeffrey Epstein was killed inside of, was also fucking connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump is directly connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a very long time. Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficked minors out of Mar-a-Lago. Virginia Giuffre being the highest profile victim Bill Barr's father gave Jeffrey Epstein his first fucking job. It's very difficult to look at all this and just assume that Trump is infallible and totally oblivious, totally unrelated to Jeffrey Epstein. It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
About a Trump media appearance, the author replied to him, "If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt." On the congressional committee investigating the Epstein affair, Trump's political opponents say it's political dynamite.
Our leadership here is implicated in the largest sex trafficking scandal in the history, not only of the United States, but potentially in the planet. And so this email, especially the 2011 email from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell, directly references Trump. It directly talks about how he spent time with one of the victims of his sex trafficking crimes at Jeffrey Epstein's house.
Donald Trump was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein before they fell out. The name redacted from the new emails was unredacted by the Trump administration. They named her as the late Virginia Giuffre, Andrew's accuser. This was a White House standing by their man.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it. Virginia Giuffre, she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her.
Survivors of Jeffrey Epstein have long demanded a full release of relevant files for full public scrutiny. A lawyer fighting their case gave her latest views on the latest developments.
The emails are from Jeffrey Epstein himself, pointing a finger of accusation at Donald Trump.
The one thing I'm wondering is, like, why did they fucking cross this line? Like, the Trump administration and JD Vance and all these other people, why did they cross this line? Because the Democrats are always much more careful, right? They're always more careful. They operate as the old guard. They're like, this is how politics is done. You don't talk about certain things, right? You don't talk about certain things like this. This is one of the things you don't talk about. Israel, you don't talk about. Jeffrey Epstein, you don't talk about, right? And I think they just assumed that their base was too stupid to ever make these demands. Or they just assumed that the Democrats would never actually betray the established, uniparty elite defense force that they represent. I just, because I can't think of any other, I don't understand how they just leaned into this so much and now it's exploding in their face. Because look at this. Look, September 4th, 2021. Remember when we learned that our wealthiest, most powerful people were connected to a guy that ran a literal sex trafficking ring, and then that guy died mysteriously in a jail, and now we just don't talk about it? And it's like, brother, he is directly connected to the guy you're the blood boy of, Peter Thiel. And you are already Peter Thiel's blood boy at this point. Why the fuck were you talking like this? Do you see what I mean? This is beyond eating crow, Elon deleted these tweets, but the internet is forever and it's a good day to dig them up. Time to drop the really big bomb. Yeah, that is a real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is a real reason why they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. Mark this post for the future. I think this was a turning point too. I'm gonna be honest. This was certainly a fucking turning point. He got too mad. Big egos in the same room. He got too fucking mad, and he basically betrayed himself and the capitalist elite by burning one of the known vestiges of espionage that both parties and all the financial elites have relied on or have worked with, just to attack Donald Trump in his weakest moment. And the irony here for Elon Musk is that he is also an Epstein affiliate. Not directly. There's not a lot of evidence for that, but indirectly by way of his brother, Kimball Musk. Kimball Musk is literally all up Jeffrey Epstein's asshole. Kimball Musk, Elon Musk's brother, is directly connected to Jeffrey Epstein. He was dating one of the Jeffrey Epstein girls, to use, it sounds like a disgusting term to say, but one of the models that frequented Jeffrey Epstein's New York mansion. Kimball Musk was in the New York mansion. It's like crazy that he basically cooked his own family. Your Chinese fans on Epstein right now? Bilibili fans learning deep Trump Epstein lore from Lemon Bro. True. Homie, nothing is going to happen to these garbage mongers. They will eventually die. That's what all I'm hopeful for. When it goes to the Senate for a vote to release all the files, which Dems do you think will join the Republicans in voting against it? I mean, of course, we can say Fetterman will vote no, but not because he himself is a pedo, but because it would make Israel look bad. I can see Schumer campaigning against it to protect the Clintons as well. I doubt he would openly vote no, however. I don't know. I don't know who is going to. Yeah, Speaker Mike Johnson says the U.S. House will vote next week on whether the Epstein files will be released earlier than expected. And I don't know, because, like, I don't know what the Senate will look like for even on the GOP side, right? Because this is an issue of consequence for a lot of Americans. This is what they give a shit about, right? And I can't even fault them for giving a shit about this, because Jeffrey Epstein, as I have said time and time again, is the real QAnon conspiracy, right? Not to the same degree as QAnon, but like all of the oftentimes anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that right-wingers have believed in and have leaned into, unironically, are closer to reality with the Jeffrey Epstein story. Like, it's not like a Jewish hypnosis style situation, and it's not just purely Mossad. It's not just for Israel, right? It's not. All of that stuff is wrong. It's certainly an American ambition, first and foremost. It's certainly American espionage, first and foremost. But like, as David Austin Walsh said, basically the Epstein files vindicated the most conspiracy theory-brained understandings of American geopolitics, where it's all just corrupt politicians, establishment luminaries, and intelligence agencies fucking kids and blackmailing each other all the live long day. In short, neoliberalism. This is where I do have some sympathy with the post-liberals, because I think we share common revulsion about how social and political system actually works. The difference is that you can be repelled by the status quo and not think, hey, this Hitler guy had a point. Exactly. And who alleges Mountbatten abuse launches legal challenge. I don't think this is just an American thing. MI5 accused of covering up sexual abuse at boys' home. Court case to address alleged cover-up of British state involvement in the Kincora Children's Home in Northern Ireland. The reason I didn't believe the notion that he was killed at first is because I wrote it off as coming from the online anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. But then I learned the actual details. Ehud Barak in 2016. Yeah. And now we know so much more about the Ehud Barak connection, which is crazy, right? Because like those emails came out recently and we found out that like these guys were fucking talking, chopping it up every goddamn day. They were chopping it up big time. Jeffrey Epstein played a formative role in connecting like the Israeli spyware, like selling Israeli spyware to numerous countries around the planet. Why the fuck was he the guy who was managing all that shit? Epstein owned part of Ohio. How does a guy like this exist? He didn't directly own part of Ohio. Les Wexner owns part of Ohio. And Jeffrey Epstein and Les Wexner were potentially either lovers or something. But Les Wexner basically gave like power of attorney to Jeffrey Epstein at the time. And he was in charge of the entirety of his fortune. But that's the Ohio connection with Jeffrey Epstein and Les Wexner. When are you going to go out? In a couple hours. It's 8:21, chatter. So, in a little bit. The people who are abusing these children are Republican, Democrat, Independent, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, atheist, gay, straight, black, white, yellow, red, blue, purple. They just all had one thing in common: money and power. Yeah, no, this is one of the ways in which global capital. This is one of the ways in which global capital reasserts its own dominance and reasserts its own power. To ensure that there aren't any naysayers.
Really from the grave.
Among 20,000 documents newly released, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor appears to get a mention. In response to a newspaper planning to run a story on Epstein, his actions and associates, someone called The Duke emailed Ghislaine Maxwell and wrote, "Hey there, what's all this? I don't know anything about this. You must say so, please. This has nothing to do with me. I can't take any more of this."
I wish I'd never met him in the first place.
The documents appear to show Lord Mandelson, former US ambassador, was in touch with Epstein in 2016. In November that year, Epstein emailed him writing, 63 years old, you made it. Mandelson replied, just, I have decided to extend my life by spending more of it in the US. Epstein wrote back, in the Donald White House. It is the story that stalks Donald Trump. These capital corridors echo to a near constant cycle.
Chat, I have a question. Is this the Diet Pepsi, or is this like regular Pepsi? Because I can't tell it's Chinese. Oh, it says 0 calories. Never mind. This is the Diet Pepsi or Pepsi Max or 0 sugar Pepsi. Oh, what the fuck? It has like a. This is a strange way to open. Oh, literally. Oh my God. It says Pepsi 0 sugar right here. I'm so stupid. I didn't see that. Spin the can. I just saw this and I was like, what the fuck? I just saw this and I saw this and I thought, what the fuck is this? Turns out you spin the fucking can and it says it right there. We used to have to pull the tab sodas in the 80s and 90s. Have a taste. If it tastes, have a sip. If it tastes like shit, it's Diet. I love Diet.
Epstein revelations, and yet they are matched by White House denials that for now at least keep a distance between scandal and a sitting president. But in this scandal, there is a distance to run. James Matthews, Sky News in Washington.
Well, we'll get more from James in a moment. First, though, let's head to Mark Stone, who's been taking a closer look at the documents released today. Mark, thousands of documents. I know you and your team have been going through them. What else have you found?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there are so many documents. It's been kind of overwhelming, I think, in newsrooms around the world, and I imagine in the White House as well. They have been looking through them as much as they can, perhaps in Buckingham Palace as well. Peter Mandelson's home, I imagine he's been trying to access them as well, just to see what is in these documents. Look, I mean, we've got one file here, which is within a file, within a file, within a file, which gives you a sense of how many there are. This is one of the files here. There are emails, I mean, some of it is less relevant than other parts. Parts of these documents are actually just scans of newspaper articles, scans of books that were written about the issue. But within them, and it's kind of hard to find them, you can see here lots of different files. I open another file and you can see within them, if the computer will work, there are. So this is a book that was written, Filthy Rich, about Jeffrey Epstein. So some of it is more relevant than other bits, and the interesting bits take a little while to find. And look, beyond what James outlined in his report there is really very, very interesting stuff related, first of all, to Peter Mandelson, clearly a UK interest there. This email between Peter Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein, an email exchange, November 2016. Now that's important because it is much later than we previously knew Mandelson and Epstein had been in touch. It was publicly known that they'd been in touch in 2010, but not as recently as 2016. And as James said, they discussed the prospect of Donald in the White House. Peter Mandelson writes,
"This is a goon cave, but for news, brother. Anywhere I'm at is a goon cave for the news. So, you know, as a ball knower myself, recognize real. I love this shit. Okay? Yes, he's in the war room."
To Epstein, Donald in the White House, will he get there? This was 2 days before the 2016 election, which we know that Trump won. And then they talk about somebody named only as Andrew. And Mandelson intriguingly writes, yes, without Andrew, it would not have gone nuclear. Without Andrew, it would not have gone nuclear. Now, we don't know precisely what that refers to. I've been in touch with Lord Mandelson today. I've messaged him. I've asked him if he's got any statement. He's seen the message, but he has not yet replied. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, and Ghislaine...
now known as paedophile, but before formerly known as Prince Andrew, no longer known as Prince, as he was outed as a paedophile and lost his title as Prince.
Maxwell, they are all mentioned in these emails. Fascinating insight, too, between Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, they were together, they were a pair. And what we get a sense of is the sort of, they're kind of scrabbling with how to deal with both the legal storm that it was unfolding and the media storm that was unfolding around them. There's an email from January 2015 where Epstein writes to Ghislaine Maxwell, they need me to say that I was not aware of massage with Andrew in my house. These things have to stay, along with meeting and rebutting those allegations. I need it ASAP. So a glimpse there into the private emails between Ghislaine Maxwell, now, of course, in an American prison for her part in all of this, and Jeffrey Epstein, who died in prison back in 2019.
Lots of work underway, quite clearly, Mark. Thank you. Well, let's bring in James now. And quite clear what we saw today, James, is a...
Did you know that anyone can legally call themselves a baronet in the UK without proof, except him now? That means any average person can claim a higher title than him now? That's such a fucking strange and very funny, weird fact about England. Like, is there like it's almost like a morality police, but for the lordship, where it's like, you can call yourself a baronet, but not a duchess. If you call yourself a duchess, you will go to prison. Off to the colonies with you. Get in the barge. Made up fairy tale ass land for real. It's becoming increasingly clear that part of why Jeffrey Epstein was accepted into elite circles is that the absolute fucking losers that run the world are characters you'd find in the Revenge of the Nerds movies. I mean, that's how it is right now. What the fuck is this? Jonathan Farkas. Jeffrey, please help me here. Is she a hooker? What? I am seeing bleep a little bit. I don't think it will turn into a romance. I'm a bit old and not tall enough, but she seems intelligent and kind. Sommer's got an appointment from Trump. She is on the White House Fellowship Commission. It came through Woody and Suzanne Johnson because she bundled Best Jonathan. A two-timer. Worse. Jeffrey, please help me here. Is she a hooker? Sommer's married to Alexander's department store heir, Jonathan Farkas, served on the committee to choose Trump's White House fellows. That's one that the one New Yorker thought Geopol was from the 18th century. Wait, what? You will get in trouble and get your accounts frozen if you try to call yourself a lord and aren't one? Are you serious? Andrew Epstein and Trump were literally together in 2019. Wait, what? In the newly released batch of documents from the House Oversight Committee, new documents show that Epstein saying he attended a meeting in London in 2019 with President Trump and Prince Andrew. He said Trump thinks he is king. No, I don't believe this. This has not been previously reported. Phytux is actually pretty reliable, but I have not seen this before. Where the fuck did this come from? This would be the biggest bombshell. What? Is red no? Is invitation no? Prince Andrew and Trump today. Too funny. What the fuck? There is no way. 2019, that's when Jeffrey Epstein got killed, brother. That doesn't make any sense. Are you telling me that he got fucking killed right after he met with Donald Trump? Like, he got arrested and killed right after he met with Prince Andrews and Donald Trump. The emails also say Epstein was at Trump Tower in 2016 right after the election and had Thanksgiving with Trump in 2017. What? I mean, is it Jeffrey Epstein just basically lying to heighten his importance to onlookers? Because these guys do that stuff all the time. They make it seem like they're a lot closer to power than they actually are to other people. Or is it real? Is there actual evidence? Because if that's the case, it's fucking Jover. Oh my God. There will be a Thomas Crooks in every fucking corner of this country. You understand? Like, this will destroy the collective consciousness of MAGA. If there is evidence of Donald Trump's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein far beyond what we already assume is the timeline of like up until 2012, right? If it goes beyond that, and if it goes into the territory where he was already president, that would be fucking insane. That would shock me. It would shock the world. And it would brick every fucking QAnon MAGA guy. They will go feral. This is why Trump is safe, because Epstein is already dead. Ain't no fucking way he's safe. Like, who is he talking to? They are literally in the Situation Room over this. I love that people are like, bro, nothing ever happens. This won't change anything, whatever. Meanwhile, Trump is literally losing his fucking mind. This is from 30 minutes ago from Jim at CNN. A meeting in the Situation Room to pressure a Republican congresswoman to vote against releasing all Epstein files. Oh my Lord. I don't know why I can't find a journalist reporting this Trump Tower thing. Yeah, I need a more credible report on this Mar-a-Lago invite, potentially. Mike Johnson, 8 minutes ago, breaking on MSNBC. Mike Johnson says he intends to put the Epstein resolution on the House floor next week. Yeah, we already covered that. That already came out. Trump on the Jeffrey Epstein stuff a couple hours ago, by the way. Here it is. I have it right here. The Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. The Democrats cost our country $1.5 trillion with their recent antics of viciously closing our country while at the same time putting many at risk, and they should pay a fair price. There should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else, and any Republicans involved should be focused only on opening up our country and fixing the massive damage caused by the Democrats. Anyway, is shit about to hit the fan? I mean, Trump is moving like it is. Trump is moving like it is. They're calling it the least suspicious pressure campaign of all time. Trump ramps up pressure on GOP to thwart Epstein vote. The interesting part about this is that, like, the administration is entirely compromised on this stuff. So if people question the allegiances that Donald Trump had with Jeffrey Epstein, right, and they are currently, what's interesting about this is that they will also question J.D. Vance, who is Peter Thiel's guy, right? Peter Thiel is the billionaire that basically put J.D. Vance into the seat of power. Okay, you are traveling, so I'm inclined to believe this is it. That's true. I do have that tendency when I'm fucking flying around. I mean, one day I literally flew for one day, and the Democrats ended up unceremoniously caving on the shutdown. I was in the air. But yeah, J.D. Vance is directly connected to Epstein by way of Peter Thiel. So if the standard, let's say, by Republicans and conspiracy guys is basically like, we want someone who is not affiliated with Jeffrey Epstein, then there's not that many people you can go to. This would be a massive purge. I don't think it'll happen, but it would at least cause a lot of fissure within the base, and it would create a lot of instability and chaos, as it is slated to create amongst the base within the party and the actual people in positions of power.
Political battle ongoing, which has led to the publication of these documents.
Hi, Anna. Yeah, this, make no mistake, is a difficult episode for Donald Trump. Increasingly difficult, no doubt. The story, it drips new detail on a rolling basis. It has done for months. Incrementally, it gets closer to the president. His opponents already see guilt by association, and they are convinced by that. There are many in Republican ranks who too have serious suspicions. Trump's defense thus far, as you said, has been, look, this is all a Democrat hoax, and he's dismissed this contact with Epstein as a long-ago friendship with a man he now labels a creep and a pedophile. His defense doesn't necessarily get any easier with these emails, these fresh documents. Interestingly, there's no denial from the White House of the email that says Trump was in Epstein's house with an Epstein victim. Their response was to name that victim, Virginia Giuffre. Her name was mispronounced at the White House. They make the point that she didn't have a problem with Trump. He was professional and friendly to her. But, you know, if we're now saying and agreeing that Trump is placed in Epstein's house with a victim for hours, then, if nothing else, that raises questions of its own beyond him being well behaved. She was a victim of sex trafficking. Did he know that? Why didn't he know that? How could he not have known that? What did they discuss? What did he think a young girl was doing in that set of circumstances, in that situation? It's interesting the White House chose to name her, Virginia Giuffre. Her family have been very vocal about Donald Trump themselves. They've had a lot to say about the Trump administration, and what they have said is release all the
Epstein was arrested 33 days after supposedly meeting with Trump and Prince Andrew in London in 2019 from the oversight Dems near the top of the document. So why is this not being reported on? I just don't understand. Like, this part of the story is incredibly consequential. This is, oh my God. Late edition of Trump's schedule tonight. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait a minute. President signs Senate amendment to H.R. 5371, continuing appropriations, AG leg branch. Wait, I don't think he's going on camera for this. I'm going to be honest. Am I crazy? Does it feel like this is more so to like address some of the stuff? Because he's going to be in front of it feels like he's going to be in front of a press briefing. I mean, it's White House press pool. We know what that means. They're going to ask him this question in the most favorable way possible, right? That's 2 hours from now? God damn it, dude. He surely won't say anything stupid. I mean, judging by his past performance, is there even a chance that he doesn't say something stupid? He cannot help himself. He has to be in front of the camera, but he also famously cannot help himself when this shit happens, where he will just be like, listen, it was only a couple young girls. Me and Jeffrey Epstein, we hung out quite a bit, and I loved hanging out with him because we played games. We played craps together. People change. Who cares? Don't talk about it anymore. It's a hoax. Remember that week-long sequence whenever Donald Trump was called into question about his affiliations with Jeffrey Epstein? He would just turn around and be like, this is a hoax. Everyone that actually cares about this is stupid and bad and wrong. And you're really hurting my feelings. And you need to stop. You need to stop hurting my feelings like this. And everyone would be like, dude, I didn't think you were a pedophile, but it's kind of hard for me not to feel like you're giving pedophile, sweetie. Like he was just like hemorrhage. He was just attacking his own base constantly, just being like, come on, don't do it anymore. Don't ask. These are vicious haters. He has a little bit of that like Benjamin Netanyahu streak in him when it comes down to shit like this. When it comes down to talking about shit like this, where he'll just be like the Benjamin Netanyahu week-long sequence of just being like, we did not kill Charlie Kirk. If we were to have killed Charlie Kirk in a school, we would have killed all the children. After all, we're Israel. You know, like that's what Benjamin Netanyahu was doing. Like Trump has that dog in him as well. Every time he tries to fucking talk about this Jeffrey Epstein shit, he just ends up making people more confused and more suspicious. He ends up making people feel like, okay, you guys did actually diddle kids together, it seems. Your Netanyahu sounds similar to your Obama. I know, it's just on the fucking fly. Okay, calm down. Breaking. Oh, by the way, this was also another moment. The Landon Thomas Jr. thing is actually very suspicious because Landon Thomas Jr. is a fucking New York Times journalist. Why is a New York Times journalist tipping Epstein off about a follow-up investigation by journalist and former NYPD detective John Connolly? Importance, high. Thomas Landon Jr., who is a financial reporter for the New York Times, is sending a fucking email to Jeffrey Epstein with the subject, got another call from John Connolly. Yeah? What is this? Dean Withers tweet about Trump meeting in London. Okay, that's Dean Withers' tweet. Dean Withers is like me tweeting about it. Okay? The fuck? Or even less consequential. Why is the New York Times not reporting about it? But what's also confusing about this info that came out is partially because maybe because of stuff like this. This is a New York Times financial reporter. This is a New York Times financial reporter tipping off Jeffrey Epstein about people doing research into him. He's digging around again. Not clear if it's another book or expanded paperback version. Was asking me all sorts of questions about why you hired Ken Starr. I told him I had no idea. I think he's doing some Trump-related digging too. Anyway, for what it's worth. He sent this article, this reference, said, keep getting calls from this guy doing a book on you, John Connolly. This is the first one. Jeffrey Epstein in 2019. Trump going to Howard Lutnick's house on Thursday. Howard Lutnick was Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor in New York City. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I mean, he could have known. He could have known this because he's their neighbors. I mean, if true, the 2019 London meeting is the most consequential. It would prove that Trump's involvement with Epstein. New York Times wrote an article about it. They're writing about it. Epstein went far beyond 2012, and that he was shortly arrested after this meeting and then died under the custody of the state and the Trump administration. Mercury News reported on it July 8th, 2019. Donald Trump and Prince Andrew met up in London ahead of Jeffrey Epstein's arrest on new sex trafficking charges. Wait, what? Trump and Prince, two of Epstein's most famous friends, appeared in photo ops during the president's UK visit. Oh my God. Oh my God. Lemon Brother, did you trigger the prophecy intentionally? The ancestor spirit of world history since you left the country and all of this shit bubbled to the surface immediately? I wonder what Kash Patel thinks these days. Brother, Kash Patel doesn't think. He just reacts. Oh my God. Hold on. Wait, how do I screenshot on fucking, is it Alt S or is it Shift S? Oh. All right. Okay. If true, this is an absolute nuke. Hold on. It proves that Trump's involvement with Epstein went far beyond 2012 and that he was and that Epstein was arrested shortly after this meeting and then died under the custody of the state in the Trump administration. I mean, this is like a direct line of evidence that basically points to Donald Trump directly, allegedly killing Jeffrey Epstein. Why 2012? I thought it went all the way to 2012 in the latest, in the information that we knew. Trump claims he had no communication with Epstein since before he was prosecuted for sex trafficking in 2008. I think it went beyond 2008, right? I thought he had he had done media, like positive media about Jeffrey Epstein. Mega looked at the primary source and confirmed it. No, I know. Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew and Trump today. Too funny. Recall Prince Andrew's accuser came out of Mar-a-Lago. Steve Bannon, can't believe nobody's making you the connective tissue. Brother, were they just saying everything out loud in these emails? What the fuck is going on? I'm going crazy. It feels like... No, we knew Steve Bannon was connected to Jeffrey Epstein. That's another Trump administration loyalist that is deeply connected with Jeffrey Epstein. Remember, Steve Bannon actually went to Jeffrey Epstein and was training him for a potential deposition. And once outed that he was deeply connected to Jeffrey Epstein, he turned around and was like, oh, I was just filming him because I was going to do a negative documentary about Jeffrey Epstein. That never was released, by the way. Weirdly enough, he has hours and hours and hours of footage of Jeffrey Epstein and himself. And yet he never revealed that footage. And I don't believe he will ever reveal the full footage, obviously. Like, it'll be heavily manipulated. I don't know what's happening right now. I don't know how to perceive all of this. Sender, Steve Bannon. Red yes. Is invitation no. Message, can't believe nobody is making you the connective tissue. Sender, iTunes, gmail.com. FNB only. Sender, Steve Bannon. What is that? Message, Prince Andrew and Trump today. Too funny. I think these are chat messages for the record. Well, if he's subpoenaed by Congress, he'll have to give it up. He's already been in prison once for failing to appear. I don't know how Trump is going to actually protect himself and everyone around him that is so deeply connected to Jeffrey Epstein. The previous reporting on this from Mercury News and Boston Globe and all of these other outlets does not actually feature Epstein being connected. Like, none of them until this moment have revealed that Jeffrey Epstein was a part of this meeting. This is new information. If true, this is an absolute nuke. It proves that Trump's involvement with Epstein went far beyond, I'm not going to say 2012, what we knew about, and that Epstein was arrested shortly after this meeting and then died under the custody of the state in the Trump administration. It's going to be one news cycle, and then something else will take over, another will come of it. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein is the Epstein story. And I talked about this last time this became a big ordeal. But the Jeffrey Epstein story is basically the only way for a lot of Trump's base of support to exhibit some form of like class consciousness almost. It's obviously not class consciousness at all, but it's basically like their version of, wait, hold on. My focus is off. Sorry. I was just looking at I was just trying to fix this. Epstein, the Jeffrey Epstein story, as I said before, is like the closest a lot of the lumpen proles and a lot of like working class Americans have ever gotten to unlocking class consciousness or something that resembles class consciousness. It's because it's like somewhat conspiratorial thinking, even though it is real. It's not a fucking conspiracy theory, right? So this is the most This is the most earnest, most honest expression of financial elites in shadowy back rooms doing some of the most heinous crimes of all time without any scrutiny whatsoever, because they're like they're doing it around all of these other like incredibly wealthy individuals. So this is very much a, you know, it's not a left versus right, it's up versus down story. And so I don't think they will give up on it. It's a real motivator for a lot of people. Tim Onion, Pizzagate. If you replace the word hot dog with little boy and pizza party with child sex orgy, you will see the lengths that these elites go to cover up their sex crimes. Real elite emails. Send me nude pictures of those 8th graders we abused last weekend. Post haste. I am the ambassador to Turkey. Yeah, I mean, literally. Like, it wasn't, they weren't ordering children by ordering hot dogs from like a pizza parlor. They were just straight up saying it in the emails. Emails literally read like, hello, I am Jeffrey Epstein. You are the Prime Minister of Israel. I would like to sell Israeli spyware as I am a part of the Mossad. Like, that's just no OPSEC whatsoever. They straight up were like, oh, of course, we're untouchable. We're the financial elite. We're the people that hold the levers of power. No one's going to fucking come after us. They were communicating with one another with no OPSEC. Like, the average fucking drug dealer around the corner has better OPSEC than Jeffrey fucking Epstein does. Okay? Because the average drug dealer actually is fearful that they might experience criminal repercussions. Jeffrey Epstein and all these other guys behaved as though they would never experience criminal repercussions. Do you understand? See, but that's why the dumb shit QAnon people won't believe it, because any truth that is too obvious, no. Epstein stuff is so... No. The Epstein stuff is one that the QAnon people also believe. Also, it's so direct, dude. It is so, it is the real version of what they fantasize about. It is impossible for them to avoid this stuff. At most, depending on how fucking insane they are, they might say, oh, Trump was a white hat pedophile or some shit. But I don't think that's going to work. I don't think there's a lot of people in the QAnon side of things that would look at the story and be like, yeah, no, I think Trump was still a good guy in this story. There will be some, but I don't think it'll be all. This also, in my opinion, offers a unique opportunity for Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is very well positioned to exhaust this perspective over and over again, to exhaust this line of attack, this angle of attack, as she has been an outspoken critic of Israel now, and also an outspoken defender of Epstein's victims. And also someone who had ambitions of higher office that seemingly was thwarted by the establishment Republicans and the Trump administration. And she has this vendetta now. This is going to be an opportunity for Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has a lot of name recognition and a lot of loyalty within that MAGA base, as a person who's been running around talking about fucking Jewish space lasers and shit for years and years. Which sounds so stupid, but that is how you garner loyalty from this base. She is positioned so perfectly to rat fuck Trump every step of the way, and clearly has the ambition to do so. Same with Tucker Carlson. Same with Candace Owens, especially Candace Owens, because Tucker Carlson, I think, is more of a shrewd operator who I would be more interested to see how Tucker Carlson navigates these waters, because while these guys have been very aggressive in the way that they talk about Israel, they rarely ever blame Trump for it. They rarely ever cast doubt on Trump and his loyalties to America first and foremost, right? This could be an interesting moment. If Tucker Carlson also goes, yeah, Trump is actually cooked. He's fucked. He's like an Epstein affiliate. This is unacceptable. That means like there will be a real fissure within the populist wing, within the base of support for the Republicans. Legitimate question. I can't think of a reason he wouldn't, but why won't Trump just nuke the files or alter them? The entire DOJ is dick riders. It's a good question. It's funny how you were talking shit about Trump and Epstein while in China. Wonder what the news in China is about Epstein. I don't think the Chinese news covers that kind of stuff as much. At least like sometimes I'll be watching Chinese TV. You know, when we were at the train station, and they're just covering like infrastructure improvements and things like that. No, I'm serious. Like it's they don't. I'm sure they cover it sometimes, and I haven't like encountered it. But I mean, you saw the newspaper, the People's Railway, my favorite newspaper. They're talking about how they're following through on Xi Jinping thought and finding areas of improvement that are necessary for their railroads, for the infrastructure. Yeah. Unlike America, we don't feel the need to cover the shortcomings of our rival. We have too many successes to cover, says Top G. Nobody cares about America as much as America. That's not true. The rest of the world absolutely cares about America. Yet you won't admit you're autistic. I mean, in many ways, I think China is also a very autistic country. Like I said, they have newspapers dedicated entirely to the railroads. What is that if not maximum autism? And I mean that positively, of course. Did you see that big bridge collapse in China? A mountain fell over and destroyed a bridge. Thankfully, they were able to evacuate and close off the area a couple days before. I did. I don't know the full details of it, but like it was crazy that the American like anti-China outlets and all these like anti-China people were basically saying like, oh, dude, their infrastructure is ass. See, this bridge collapsed only months after it was built. And it's like, yeah, dude, the fucking mountain collapsed on it. What do you mean? What is what are people supposed to fucking do in that situation? Like, yeah, that's a thing that happens, okay? Yeah, they want to act like China's construction is shoddy and dangerous, but a giant landslide hit the bridge. The rest of the bridge remained standing. No one was hurt. In America, this would take years to fix with dozens dead. China will rebuild in months. Yeah. Footage shows part of the Hongqi Bridge in Sichuan, China, collapsing today. The 758-meter span opened earlier this year on National Highway 317, suffered a major structural failure, though no casualties were reported. It's like, I wonder why that happened. I wonder why that happened. Like, you're making it seem like it was shoddy craftsmanship. But what can you do if the fucking mountain decides, you know, we have different ambitions? What do you do in that situation? Yeah, you can't. Even the glorious engineering focused Chinese nation cannot overcome nature. Nature is still far more powerful. This is what Xi was doing yesterday. You and the King of Spain missed each other. People's Daily, China. China is willing to work with Spain to build a more strategically resilient and dynamic comprehensive strategic partnership with greater international influence. Chinese President Xi Jinping said on Wednesday. Xi made remarks when meeting with King Felipe VI of Spain, who was in a state visit to China in Beijing. It marked King Felipe VI's first state visit to the country after his enthronement and the first visit by a Spanish monarch to China in 18 years. Did they excavate the mountain to build the bridge? I don't think so. It's just, I mean, there's no greater indication of American century of humiliation than shit like this, though, because it's like natural disaster takes place, okay? And I guess you could say that like the people that are engineering this stuff should either choose not to build it there at all, or to I don't know, try to create additional safeguards or whatever, right? But like it literally is a natural disaster. In America, our bridges fucking collapsed because nobody has touched them since FDR. We have dog shit infrastructure. People using this to gloat against China are ignoring the fact that authorities discovered the breaks in the mountain on the day before and were able to close off the area for safety. I don't know if I could see America being that proactive. Yeah, exactly. Like they evacuated the area beforehand. No cars were on it when the bridge was collapsing. You know, I don't know. I don't know how to like look at this situation and think about, like, this is one of the strong suits of China in general. Epstein flight logs show a trip to France on June 14th, 2019. So we might have actually went to London is what you're saying. I saw people actually saying that this was the bridge that the bridge that pees on the forest. Like I saw that on Twitter as well. You know that like famous bridge, the tallest bridge the tallest land bridge they ever created or whatever. The one that actually like rains water down, has like a little waterfall. I think it's a little tacky, but whatever. That's not that bridge. It's not that same bridge. It's a different bridge. That post is wrong. It was a landslide and they anticipated it. No, I know. I already corrected it. Wait, how are we even watching right now? Isn't VPN connections unstable? Nah. I doubt reports out of China when LA was burning saying they build bad, not fireproof. I mean, given China's history with fires, I think they would never be so careless in their coverage about fires. These guys are very afraid of fires, partially because they, you know, a lot of their infrastructure was built on wood for the longest time. Okay, I bet they rake their forests. Probably, bro. China is literally doing news on infrastructure while we're out here trying to out our pedophiles, one of whom is the president. Yeah. Oh yeah, this was a funny moment as well. Donald Trump defending the glories of the PRC and also the beautiful people of the People's Republic of China. I love this. I love this clip. This is one of those like Donald Trump gets real honest moments. You know, it's like the one that I always think about is when he's talking about Putin with like Bill O'Reilly or some shit. And Bill O'Reilly's like, well, Putin's a pretty vicious guy. And this was when he was running for president in like 2015, 2016. And he goes, well, we're vicious too. We're not so good ourselves. It's kind of like that, right? So one of the metas right now is that the Republicans are mad about Donald Trump apparently being much more favorable to Chinese students coming to the United States of America. Okay. Ingram, I guess, still ended up defending Donald Trump regardless, but there's the H-1B visa clip that people are very pissed off about. Let's take a look.
Like what we have right now.
And does that
the
mean
Republicans have to talk about it, Laura.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people
you
here.
don't. No, you don't.
We don't have talent.
American workers are stupid. They're dumb. They're lazy. They're stupid. Have you seen one of these beautiful Indians, Laura? They come in here, they work tirelessly. That's right. The white American, the Caucasian, has lazy blood, won't work, can't do it. That's awesome. Which, by the way, you know, I don't give a shit one way or another. If these are roles that you cannot currently fill within the existing talent pool, why the fuck would I care if you hire the greatest talent that you possibly could from the international labor pool? I'm on board with that. People are people, okay? That's number one. Number two, if you actually want this system to not be abused, then you have to ensure wage parity and you have to protect these workers coming in from deportation. Because if you do that, then you are actually simply bringing people in with H-1B visas because they have a highly specialized labor that cannot be replicated in the domestic market. In the absence of that, which of course no Republican will ever do, for the record, obviously, but in the absence of that, yes, companies will continue abusing that structure to get more compliant employees that are fearful of deportation if they don't play ball, if they don't work long hours, right? They will never demand higher wages. They will never demand back pay. They will never make the same demands that the domestic labor force can make because they don't have that additional externality. They don't have that additional stressor. The domestic labor force is not in fear of fucking deportation. They're simply in fear of lack of health care, which is a really good motivator in the minds of the capital owners, right? You lose your job, you lose your health care, you're fucked. Or you can't make payments on your student loan debt. These are ways to make the domestic labor force more compliant with the exhaustive exploitative practices that capital owners implement in an effort to extract higher profit margins. But no amount of super profits is enough for our capital owners, and that's why they want more subservient laborers in these highly specialized fields in many instances, and that's how the H-1B visa is exploited.
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
I'll
give you an example. In Georgia.
Yeah. There is truth to what he's saying here, for the record. There is truth to what he's saying here because there is no infrastructure to fucking develop talent in this country. The only infrastructure to develop talent in this country still revolves around dumping $100,000 of or saddling every single potential laborer with $100,000 in student loan debt. Okay, it's much more efficient to get a ginormous to tap into a ginormous English-speaking labor pool with incredibly well-educated laborers waiting for the opportunity to become a part of the American labor force, okay? It's not that there aren't people who could work in these fields, for the record, in the United States of America. Of course there are. Because we're talking about like highly, highly specialized fields. In that instance, yes, of course you need to rely on the international labor pool, especially in the absence of like there being like a farm program, a farming structure or an educational structure that is constantly creating more and more domestic laborers that could take these take these jobs, take these roles. They're not interested in that because that requires investment, that requires long-term commitment, that requires educating the workforce, and it would also require the abolition of student loan debt in general. You know, we are just not going to do that. We're not going to do that at all. It's just not going to happen. So it's much easier to keep the structure up. But it is funny that he has to openly state this.
They raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their lives. You know, making batteries are very complicated.
Yeah, all their lives, these guys from South Korea, they love making batteries. Laura, believe me, they love making the battery. I love batteries. Batteries, Laura, believe me. And you know what? You know who loves batteries? South Korea. They make them.
And it's not an easy thing and very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. I mean, I know you and I disagree on this. You can't just say a country's coming in.
Who's they, motherfucker? It's your admin that did this. Like, that's the other thing. It's like, it's Stephen Miller, brother. That's your guy. Like, who is they? I'm sorry. I do not believe the American White House currently, the American federal government currently is this decentralized. Okay? I think he's just abdicating responsibility because he knows it was an incredibly stupid thing that he did. Because that was your ICE that conducted an operation in the facility, in the South Korean facility. Basically, a couple weeks after you had the South Korean leadership in the White House and you made them commit billions of dollars in IOUs to investing into, American development and American industry. And then 2 weeks later, it was such an insane thing when we covered it. Like, I couldn't believe it. It was like literally, I think it was like actually a week after Donald Trump had the Korean leadership. And then they went in and they chained these guys, right?
Invest $10 billion to build a plant and going to take people off an unemployment line who haven't worked in 5 years, and they're going to start making missiles. It doesn't work that way.
Wow.
Like what we have right now.
Trump really sat in front of a camera and called Americans too stupid to fill jobs, and we need H-1B visa applicants to fill them. If a Democrat has said it, it would be in ads for years that Democrats hate Americans. He's talking about the 8,500 Hyundai LG factory jobs in Georgia that are seemingly not happening because Trump's a moron who deported South Korean workers in the U.S. to stand up a battery factory. 200 workers are reportedly suing ICE. Yeah. Rare Trump L, brother. Why'd he say that? Yeah, what do you do in that situation if you're a Trump guy and you hear him saying that on Fox News? You go, yeah, that's right. I am stupid, my president. President Trump, you are right. I am stupid. Laura Ingraham thinks we can pull this off in 4 years. This is a 12-year development project. Changes during the last decade in a random Tier 4 city, Puyang, China. Dude, if you showed... Honestly, I think, especially given the heightened contradictions in the United States of America, if you show this shit to the average hog, they would learn to sing Red Sun in the Sky the next day in perfect Mandarin, okay? In perfect Chinese. Like, this would cause the average American to have a brain hemorrhage, to have an aneurysm. I think that's part of the reason why they turn around and they're like, nah, it's not real, it's fake, brother, it's fucking fake. You know? Or they have to cope and fucking see and try to act as though it's not real. This is not real. This is not real. China is a backwater state run by peasants. They're poor, they're broke, and the government's always making them do things at gunpoint. Unlike me, brother, I'm free. That's how you did it for me. I remember hopping off the stream one day and going, what's that one Chinese song? Yeah. But a song. There wasn't a river there before. How is there a river now? What happens to the food production laws from the farmland laws? Brother, do you know how massive China is? What do you think is going on? You think they're just starving now in China? Look at all that farmland. Look at all that farmland that turned into a city. If there's one thing that China has in abundance, it's fucking farmland, okay? I think they got that down. I love that take, though. Just curious, is all farmland there? No, exactly. Did food prices increase after destroying all that farmland? No, as a matter of fact, as The Economist and Bloomberg was reporting earlier that we covered, it's not that they have the Chinese problem, according to The Economist, is not that food prices are too high. It's actually that they're too low. Remember. Oh, also, it just passed. The House passed a bill to end the government shutdown, but I cannot connect to this website for some reason. Probably because it's my VPN is routing me to Hong Kong, and maybe Hong Kong doesn't allow browsing those sorts of websites. So that was the H-1B visa thing. Okay, but there is more. This part of the Laura Ingraham interview was also very funny.
You've said as many as 600,000 Chinese students could come to the United States.
No, it's not working.
Why, sir, is that a pro-MAGA position when so many American kids want to go to school and they're...
Damn, that was fast. Another one you could try. I don't think we're going to be able to watch these, man.
Elections and Democratic wins in some key
okay,
states.
this one worked.
And they said that they could have gotten a lot more when it comes to health care, in particular as people, 22 million people or so who rely on those subsidies could see they're already seeing their premiums increase, and a lot of them are various. Some of them say absolutely gutted by the outcome of this, but the Democratic divisions were on full display here, and very clearly on this vote, 6 of them breaking ranks, just like 8 of them did in the Senate as well, Anderson.
Manaraju, thank you. Up next, once again, the breaking news. The House voting moments go to end the 43-day shutdown of the federal government, the longest in history, and we'll have more on the Jeffrey Epstein.
A lot more. They got nothing. I mean, what can you say that hasn't been talked about already? As a product of the Ivies, let me tell you, Chinese students are going to stop coming law. Chinese universities are going to start lobbying the Western elite. Why am I talking like fuck? Why do I have an Irish accent all of a sudden? Chinese universities are going to start lapping Western elite institutions. They'll still send their fail sons to Harvard and Yale, though. Lol. Yeah, I was talking to someone here about this, actually. So for the longest time, first of all, let me dial it back real quick. Number one, Chinese people are Ameribus, just like I am, right? They have great respect and reverence for America. Chinese foreign policy throughout history has always, gone back and forth, but usually aligned with the United States of America at times, right? And China has always looked to America as a prosperous nation, right? And there are a lot of aspects of like modern Chinese culture that is very American adjacent as well. Now, of course, they have a rich tradition, long history, Confucius principles, all that stuff. But like there is some American style attitudes, especially when it comes to like commodity consumption, right? Like this is unexpected in a place like China, or even a car reliant infrastructure in many ways as well. I've talked about this before. And because of that, there has always been great respect for sending your children to Western institutions, specifically the American Ivies. Okay? That's a huge thing in China. Being able to send your highly educated children to Harvard, especially, like the American Ivies especially, is a big deal, right? It's a sign of prestige. It's a sign that you've done the it's a status symbol. You've done the ultimate thing, right? Having said that, these last couple of years have actually, from what I understand, kind of shifted the Chinese attitude towards the Ivies a little bit. Apparently, there was like a Chinese valedictorian or something like that gave a commencement speech at Harvard, and it was actually critically panned for the first time ever. What was supposed to be a moment of great respect, you know, oh, look, a Chinese person is like speaking and delivering a commencement speech at Harvard, was apparently very critically panned by the Chinese. And part of that was because it came across as insincere, apparently. And the other reason is because the prestige of the Ivies, specifically even Harvard, the most significant one, right, is kind of going away, especially as Chinese institutes of higher learning are making waves and they are becoming more influential, more prominent institutions of higher learning in the global stage. So, and I remember looking at the top 20 best universities around the planet, and like there is a lot of movement in the direction of China there, right? Like Chinese universities are becoming respectable institutions of higher learning, even by Western standards. Yeah, 8 out of the top 10 leading research institutions in the world are now Chinese, according to Nature.com, the 2025 Nature Index, the authoritative ranking on this. In 2020, just 5 years ago, 8 of the top 10 were Western. And now 8 of the top 10 research institutions are Chinese. Harvard is no longer in the top, the number 1 slot either. And if you look at the top 30, 19 of them are Chinese. Almost 2/3 of the top 30 research institutions in the world are Chinese. So this attitude is shifting, and it's actually a threat to these American institutions in some ways, not only because it diminishes their prestige in the global stage, and that's an important part of soft power in general, but it also is consequential because the foreign students basically prop up these colleges. They are a fucking money faucet, okay? So when Donald Trump turns around and says, like, fuck these colleges, if you don't, sign a loyalty pledge to Israel, we're going to cut your funding. Oh, we don't want any more international students. Fuck you. When he says shit like that, he has to inevitably go back and take back those considerations, take back those words, because I assume he got numerous boss calls from very wealthy alumni from all over these elite Ivy League institutions that said, dude, what the fuck are you doing? One, this is a massively consequential brain drain method that we designed for decades that you're just casting aside. You're literally getting some of the smartest individuals that are the children of some of the wealthiest individuals all around the world to come here and try to work in America and play a formative role in our public research. Like, why the fuck would you personally destroy that system? And the other reason is that that's a major amount of funding that just goes away because foreign exchange students, like foreign students, pay double the price of admission. We have diamonds in the rough that nobody ever gave a shot, man. Brother, I understand, okay? I am an advocate for free college, okay? Not just K through 12. I'm an advocate for funding our education. Having said that, this is not even fucking fixing that at all. This doesn't touch that at all. As a matter of fact, this is the only appropriate solution that someone like Donald Trump will ever implement. Instead of actually building an infrastructure of education that taps into the existing talent pool in the United States of America, we just end up cutting off the other side of the equation for no reason. You can do both. You don't have to do the other thing. You understand? In any case, here's Donald Trump going back on that previous statement on Laura Ingraham.
As many as 600,000 Chinese students could come to the United States. Why, sir, is that a pro-MAGA position when so many American kids want to go to school and there are places not for them and these universities are getting rich off Chinese money?
Sure. Never said about China, but we do have a lot of people coming in from China. We always have, China and other countries. We also have a massive system of colleges and universities. And if we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the colleges in the United States go out of business.
So what?
Well, I think that's a big deal.
Are they fans
You would have the
fans of the United States?
Yeah, but you would have, as you know, historically, black colleges and universities would all be out of business. You would have a system of colleges and universities would
So
go
we're
down the
dependent on
tubes.
China to keep our university system going?
But I think it's good to have, I actually think it's good to have outside countries. Look, I want to be able to get along with the world.
They're not the French. They're the Chinese. They spy on us. They steal our...
They're not the French. They're the Chinese. They spy on us. They steal from us. By the way, I will remember what I told you about J.D. Vance when he said China is a backwater nation led by peasants a couple months ago? Remember when I said that will make waves in China? That did make waves in China. They were fucking pissed about that shit. So they do actually pay close attention to the xenophobic language. They do pay close attention to like this kind of racist nonsense. And it does piss them off, for sure. They see this shit. They're not the French. They're Chinese. They steal from us. Is fucking ridiculous, dude. It's just pure unfiltered racism. Let's see how Trump responds.
What, do you think the French are better?
Yeah.
I mean, really? I don't know. I'll tell you, I'm not so sure. We've had a lot of problems with the French, where we get taxed very unfairly on our technology, where, you know, they put 25% taxes on American products. Look, assuming everyone treats us badly, because that's the way I am, but we take in trillions of dollars from students. You know, the students pay more than double when they come in from most foreign countries. I want to see our school system thrive, but at the same time, I know you and I disagree. We're never going to agree on it, but that's okay. And it's not that I want them, but I view it as a...
I don't want them, Laura. I don't want them at all. The bullet pierced his ear, but he can still hear the voice of the party is right. By the way, I don't think a lot of Chinese people know that Donald Trump is the great nation state builder for China. I don't think they know that, because I keep testing that out on unsuspecting Chinese people that I encounter around here, and they don't understand what I'm saying. Partially because they see a swagged out white boy and they just assume that I'm probably engaging in mockery, and I harbor anti-Chinese sentiment, which I do not. But yeah, they don't. I don't think it's as like big of a meme on the Chinese netizen side as I thought it was. When I was a child, I remember my uncle and aunt showing off that they lived in the U.S., had good jobs, and my cousin was fluent in English. They visited us last year, and their attitude is completely different. We know, but it's probably your way of approach. Probably due to translation. Try Chuan Zhangguo. They would not think you are half joking. Citrus brother, why do you do this? I'm lemon brother. They won't disclose their true feelings to you, Jersey boy. They do when they realize I'm a real one. But I've talked about this before. It's just like it. If all you have seen from people who look like me and sound like me is very negative sentiment, then you're going to assume that I'm engaging in mockery and not actual flattery. I get it. Quote more Mao, then they would know you're a real one? No. Another conversation that I had about Mao Zedong was met with shock. I talked about this book I'm reading about the history of the Red Book, like how the quotations from the chairman was compiled, and the impact that it had around the globe. And this person I was talking to was like actually shocked. They're like, "What? Like people actually care about Mao Zedong? What the fuck? Outside of China?" Like, I was like, "Yeah, of course, especially in the global South." And also Albania, which is the true champion of the global South, of course. The entry point to the global South is it runs through Albania. But yeah, Enver Hoxha mentioned. But I was they don't think that, they think that the USSR was or at least the people I've talked to have believed that the USSR was more impactful in terms of ideology and spreading ideology in general. Mao is a dictator. Yes, a dictator for the proletariat, in charge of a dictatorship of the proletariat. You're my fave Persona character. Show them this photo. You are a real one. Most Chinese people actually don't really know anything about politics or political science. I don't think that's correct. I don't know where you got this information from, but Trump the Nation founder is actually outdated meme, so most people today won't get it. The Nation founder. Most Chinese people actually don't really know anything about politics or political science. I think they're not as like they're not as tapped into like the everyday affairs, but as far as like political history goes, I think Chinese people are very well read about their own political history. And as far as like choosing, as far as like there was a quote that I read that lives in my mind forever about I think it was a Chinese businessman that was asked about whether they prefer Deng or whether they prefer Mao or whether they prefer Xi Jinping in terms of like impactful leaders in developing the modern Chinese state. And he said he used I'm sure someone can find this on Twitter, but he used a analogy of dumplings, where he said that it's impossible to choose because when you eat the fifth dumpling and you are no longer hungry, it's not that you don't go, oh, it was this fifth dumpling that finally made me no longer be hungry. It was the 4 dumplings that came before it that contributed. You don't just look at the fifth dumpling and say, okay, all I needed to do was eat this fifth dumpling and I would no longer be hungry. Something, I butchered the quote, but if I could find it, because it lives in my mind, and I'm really bad at recall on quotes like that. You cannot only eat the fifth dumpling and assume that it was the fifth dumpling alone that caused you to no longer be hungry. I'm a Chinese student being in the US for 8 years, paid double the tuition and contribute to American AI industry, but I'm treated like a spy. Yeah. I'm sure the hive mind in here could find the actual quote. Chinese netizens analysis on Zoran. I've heard of you nut on the last stroke, but the first stroke is just as important. That's a much grosser way to analogize that. I mean, it probably wasn't in English. No, I read it in English. You cannot eat the fifth dumpling that satiates you without eating the first, second, third, and fourth one. Yeah. You can't just point to the fifth dumpling and say, this is the one that satiated my appetite. I should have just skipped it and ate the fifth dumpling without recognizing. Yeah, it's steamed buns. Yes, yes, it is. The version I heard was steamed buns. It was steamed buns. It wasn't dumplings. Sorry. As a Chinese, I don't know anything about this quote. I mean, it's not like a famous quote or anything. I just read it and it was a cool analogy. It was steamed buns. I've heard reforms coming from both top down and bottom up, but this is the first time I've seen one starting from the middle. I hope this guy survives to the end. After studying so much revolutionary ideology, don't forget the old saying, where there's life, there's hope. Reforms are usually top down, while bottom up reforms are often revolutions. I'm quite afraid he'll commit suicide in his room in a few days. Oh no. If successful, he will be the second Franklin D. Roosevelt, no background version. Do not return home until you are fluent in the mother tongue of Cantonese Mandarin. Yeah, you can't just look at this one dumpling. You can't just look at the fifth dumpling or the fifth steam bun and say, okay, all I have to do is eat this fifth steam bun. Your kind of steam buns on memorizing quotes? Yes. It's called mantu. I'm going to translate some of these and at you with them. It's called mantu. You can't attribute being full to the fifth steamed bun. So it is a thing. Okay, so it is actually a thing in... Steamed buns or dumplings, which do you prefer? Oh, God, it's very tough. I love both. Chinese netizens are a bit critical about Zoran's lack of experience, but to be fair, Chinese mayor has like 5 PhDs and 125 years of experience. I know. They're also thrown into like the most competitive environment. That's why, that's another thing. So the Chinese local governance structure is so invested in constant feedback and also in unimaginable amounts of competition with other localities. This is something that like people don't realize at all. People just assume that there's like top-down leadership and the party hierarchy dictates who gets to be in positions of power. It's like the exact opposite. It's actually bottom-up leadership And there is an insane, no, it's not local pride at all. No, it's pure. It is as close as you can get to the meritocratic approach in governance, where, you know, there's a constant stream of feedback coming in from the citizens over and over again about the performance of their electeds, okay, their elected representatives. And then on top of that, there's also a competitive structure that exists within different localities as well. Yeah, they have a hotline of random inconveniences. They run into like potholes, for example, and the government actually fixes them. Yes, and if they don't, they basically got like a real Yelp review system for governance. We cannot use the period before the opening and reforms to deny the contributions of the era after, and we cannot also use the period after opening and reforms to deny the contributions of the era before. How was the Li Jingjing interview experience for you? It was great. Oh, please stop sending me predictive history content, please. Bro, I've never seen as much anti-China propaganda content being shipped from your trip. I mean, what do you mean? I'm like a fucking magnet for the freaks. I'm a magnet for the worst freaks in American politics.
We have millions and millions of people. Also, I want to get along with countries if possible. You know, people are shocked. Remember, Hillary Clinton said, we'll be in a war. I stopped 8 wars in the last 9 months. I don't want to be in wars. If I am in a war, we're going to win the thing fast, and it'll be violent. But you know what? I don't want to be in wars. But one thing, you don't want to cut half of the people, half of the students from all over the world that are coming into our country, destroy our entire university and college system. I don't want to do that.
I wouldn't lose anything.
And don't forget, MAGA was my idea. MAGA was nobody else's idea. I know what MAGA was.
He invented MAGA. I invented it, except it wasn't. It was actually Ronald Reagan.
It's better than anybody else. And MAGA wants to see our country thrive.
Can you describe to someone ignorant a little about Mao Zedong? He is the founding father of the People's Republic of China and led the country out of tremendous struggle, a century of domination and colonial exploit, and civil war, and then additional imperial domination coming from Japan. 20 million to 30 million murdered, slaughtered, often overlooked aspect of World War II was the horrific war crimes that Japan contributed to. But basically, he took China out of civil war, Japanese invasion, World War II, and yes, there were a lot of growing pains in the process, 100%. Many of which that the Chinese government now officially recognizes as well. And yeah, he was a brilliant guerrilla fighter, a thought leader that was able to create a socialism with Chinese characteristics that has led to tremendous gains and turned China into the superpower that it is today. The thing is, when we look at centuries of development that took place in the Western world and all of the sometimes necessary and sometimes totally unnecessary amounts of pain, specifically pain extracted from the colonies, we never factor that into the development of the Western world in the way that we look at the USSR or the way that we look at China and their own growing pains that took place. Yeah, he was the first steamed bun in the steam bun analogy. I think it's important not to diminish the historical struggle that took place, right? And the failures along the way. It's important to learn from those lessons. But having said that, I think in the Western world, a lot of Western thinkers look at all of those growing pains as like deliberate acts of violence, and they just lie about it, and they make it seem, they overemphasize that in an effort to undermine the accomplishments of countries that were able to assert autonomy and take control over their own destiny by way of delivering the power back to the people that were the dispossessed masses historically. Before Mao, China had no sovereignty, and what is a country without sovereignty? While he made mistakes later in his life, we never questioned his intentions. As she put it, the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. Mao is the founding father of the CCP. Mao is not the founding father of the CPC. At the time, he was just a member of the party, which had just had 50 members in 1921. No, I'm saying he is seen as the founding father of the modern state of China, which is true. I didn't say he was the founding father of the Communist Party of China. I'm saying that he's the founding father of the nation state by American understand. Like I'm using the American understandings, like American terminology. You really need to visit the Museum of the First National Congress, man. Yeah. Discounting the Xi? What do you mean? We are linking up with Jake and Bake in half an hour. It would be nice to get a different generation's perspective. I mean, I will say this much from my own personal experiences, and I'll be very limited. I think younger Chinese people that live in big cities are probably a lot more liberal in their worldview, and the older generations that saw the tremendous changes are much more they're much more supportive of the party structure and the current form of governance. The grass is always greener, but I wouldn't say across the board. I'm not saying that is the case across the board. This is the song that the chatter is referring to, commemorating the 130th anniversary of Comrade Mao Zedong. Luna Oi talked about this dynamic in Vietnam. Once COVID hit, the liberal agitators really had no leg to stand on. In China, it will probably be the same thing sometime soon, given that Trump, without a doubt, will do something completely insane. I mean, Vietnam also had a different approach, I think, to implementing their own communist or socialist governance than China did. Vietnam is definitely different in terms of reforms. Vietnam policy very similar to China? No, I know, but it's not. You view the USSR or China as more effective socialism? I'm going to go back to the steam bun analogy, you know? One cannot exist without the other, it seems. Whether it be to learn from the mistakes of other attempts in order not to repeat them, or even all of the reliable support that they got initially. Bro, you're getting so much use out of those, too much use out of those damn steam buns? A Vietnam trip at some point in the future? Yeah, I would love to go to Vietnam. Was he always this bad and we just didn't see it? I mean, I knew he wasn't going to be as conservative as I would like, but I never imagined he'd be anti-American like this. It's just so brutal, says Conservative Girl 99, talking about the H-1B visas. To put this into perspective, 80 years ago, America was coming out of a depression and rebuilding into an industrial powerhouse. China was being invaded and brutalized and had to go through a civil war and is now surpassing America when we had a massive head start. Yeah. China is much better organized / run than the USSR. Come on. No, I'm saying that the benefit of Chinese governance in this instance was the very fact that they looked close, they examined closely the mistakes of the USSR. This is their own admission. It's not, it's not a secret. They say it all the fucking time. Yeah, they look at, I mean, the USSR no longer exists, right? It no longer exists. So obviously, at the end of the day, that is the ultimate. I mean, it was, not entirely the fault of their own. Obviously, they had to go through the Cold War, but they lost at the end of the day. And it's not like America is not ambitious in its adversarial relationship with China. But the very fact that China has become the manufacturing base of the entire planet has made it much more difficult to deal with in the same way that the capitalist forces dealt with the USSR. That is looking at the mistakes of the past and building a different version of socialism from said mistakes.
From the right, remember, Democrats believe you should get zero benefits from your American citizenship. Zero. Meanwhile, as we sit in our warm studios, and that's where I am, the president's trying to reindustrialize only the entire United States of America. That's all. And if you think Mamdani or the squad, they're going to stand up for you in their workers' garb and they're going to, in their shirt sleeves, get it all done. Maybe some of these mouthy new socialist primary candidates, they're going to get it done for you. Well, you haven't been listening to them. If you're a native-born American who grew up in something approaching a traditional household, they pity you at best and they loathe you at worst. So, there's always going to be disagreements on strategy and approach, and everybody should have their say. But to the more than 77 million Americans who voted for President Trump, don't flinch. No one's better at politics
Don't flinch.
than he is. And
Don't
in
do
the
it.
end-
Don't rock the boat. Come on.
And he's a pragmatist.
Yeah. Don't flinch. Jeffrey Jedediah Epstein's bestie, by the way. Rita Grijalva signed the discharge petition to force the release of the Epstein files, going back to the American Century of Humiliation. Oh, wait, hold on. CNN is now running side-by-side clips of Trump and Biden talking about the economy. Let's take a look.
Is this a voter perception issue of the economy, or is there more?
This is my fucking favorite, dude. Yo, I can't believe CNN is doing this. Is this the Hasanabi broadcast or is this CNN? What's happening
that
here?
needs to be done by Republicans on Capitol Hill, or done in terms of policy?
More than anything else, it's a con job by the Democrats.
So are you saying that voters are
they're being fed a con
misperceiving
job.
how they feel, or?
So when I took over, you remember?
Because you said
I
Biden
was-
did that too, because he
Well,
was saying
Biden
things were great, but
let's
things
say
weren't great.
it's synonymous, Biden and Kamala, you know, because you didn't know who the hell was campaigning.
Why are people saying they're anxious about the economy? Why are they saying that?
I don't know that they are saying. I think polls are fake. We have the greatest economy we've ever had.
Look at the Michigan survey. For 65% of American people think they're in good shape economically. They think the nation's not in good shape, but they're personally in good shape. The polling data has been wrong all along.
Oh, the fake polls. The fake polls, Jack. The polls are fake. I know Trump is going to speak live, dude. I know. He's going to speak from the Oval soon, but I'm going to be heading out in like half an hour. She says Zoran isn't with the workers. Meanwhile, he's literally with the Starbucks Workers Union. Yeah. This is the type of shit I've been saying for years. And it's part of the reason why so many CNN watching liberals have developed animosity towards my commentary, because they are incapable of nuanced thinking. Unfortunately, I do actually think that they're capable of nuanced thinking. They just don't want to. Okay. Because it makes them feel bad. But this is my bread and butter. The very fact that CNN is now using this as, or the very fact that CNN has now also established that this was a negative. This was inappropriate for Biden to say, and using that as an example for what like Trump is doing wrong is spectacular. It's not only truthful, but it's unexpected to hear the truth from CNN like this. It was bad when Brandon did it, and it's bad when Trump is doing it now. Background looks like a green screen. Yeah. Guys, just wait till you see the streets of Shanghai. Oh my God, dude. Just wait till you see Shanghai. You are going to lose it. It is so fucking beautiful. Support a Starbucks union picket line? Oh, yes. 100%. Where is it? There was something that I wanted to show you guys about someone's assessment, but I don't know if I have it. Yeah, Ezra Klein's take from, by the way, yet another unimaginably aged poor take from Ezra Klein. He famously said, I think I should say before I start this episode where I'm on the Epstein story. If you force me to give you my best guess, I think this guy had a lot of powerful friends and that he was a predator and a pedophile. And those sides of his life were mostly separate. Turns out, no. Actually, it wasn't separate at all. Okay? You cannot separate the art from the artist in this case. Okay? It turns out it was all pedophilia. Okay? I don't know why he even made this bold statement to begin with, but it's just like a very... I think there's a tendency in like the liberal intelligentsia to be like, I'm actually smarter than everybody else. And because Ezra's not stupid. I don't think Ezra Klein is stupid. Okay? I say that about other people, but I don't think Ezra Klein is a stupid guy. I think he wants to come across as more intelligent. And so whenever he sees, I think there is a tendency among liberals when they abhor populism of all sorts. So when they see anything popular, they have to literally apply a contrarian position. They have to sit there and be like, no, the masses think this, and here's why they're wrong. Sometimes the masses are right. As a matter of fact, in most circumstances, if you want to abide by the democratic principles, the masses are always fucking right, you know? Hopefully we can educate them enough to make the right decisions, but it's just like, it's very smarmy, and I think it actually ends up creating this situation where he finds himself wrong all the fucking time because of his endless need to be like, well, if the overwhelming majority believe this thing, then it must be wrong. Right? AOC had a take. He said, this problem is bigger than one person. It actually is bigger than the minority leader in the Senate. A leader is a reflection of the party, and the Senate Democrats have selected their leadership to represent them. People were actually criticizing her, but I think she's right.
We had snappers.
I don't know why people got mad at her for this, saying that she's like fake and she's not like aggressively criticizing Chuck Schumer or whatever. She's right. Bernie said something similar as well. They're saying that the problem is bigger than fucking Chuck Schumer. The problem is that this is what the establishment Democrats represent. And we have to change that. We have to change this attitude, and we have to basically forcibly rip control from these guys, these institutionalists.
Damn, this guy's good.